Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the FearFans podcast. I'm your host, Don Elmy, and with me is my co-host, Nick Muley. And joining us is Insane Joe, Adam, and it's been a while since we've had you on here, Nikki. Here is our friend Nikki from Australia. We're just really glad to be back on the FearFans back on again after we've taken a hiatus for a few weeks. And so, since summer's just around the corner, we figured we'd kick off with the first film of the Friday the 13th franchise. And
the best
Nick.
one.
Yes. And Nick, I forgot to mention this. I just got this for the podcast right here. Hang on.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
and you know what?
that's dope.
Camp Crystal Lake, summer 1980. That's
dope.
cool.
That reminds me of something else that I got, too.
Oh, it's show and fucking tell time.
Oh, here we go.
And
Yeah, twinsies. Yes.
But that don't work for this movie.
it doesn't.
Right,
That's
though.
true.
Well, yeah, it kind of does because Jason's not the killer in this. It's
That's
Jason's
right.
one-
Jason didn't do any killing.
Spoiler alert.
There's gonna be spoilers all over this, so
Right. Well, and Jeremy's watching right now, so he doesn't care for spoilers.
And my girl,
Yep.
Christina Farner, I invited a bunch of my friends to watch. She's one of mine.
Oh, that's
She's
awesome.
awesome.
Hello,
Nice.
Christina.
People are showing up. What's up, guys?
What's up, Lauren?
Hey, Lauren. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Leon. Good. And Nick, this is actually Nick. You remember this? This is Mr. Nice Guy. He changed it back to Leon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like in Resident Evil. So yeah. He's a huge fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, see
So-
what Jeremy just said. Yeah, spoilers mean nothing to me. I'll read a movie's plotline while watching. It doesn't matter to me. So,
Yeah.
yep, you guys are good. You're good.
You can spoil the movies for yourself, Jeremy. Man.
If you ain't seen
that's
Friday the
Jeremy
13th
for
Part
you.
1 yet, where the fuck rock are you under, dude? It came out like 30 years ago. 40 years
Actually,
ago.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I mean, when that came out, I was like 13.
Oh shoot, Don, I'll be back in just a sec. I just realized I forgot my cord from my laptop, and that's dying too. So
Oh.
be right back.
Can't bring this guy anywhere.
Hey,
1980.
I know.
Yeah, I was 13 when that came out in the theater.
No shit.
nice.
Did you go see it? Did you
Uh,
go with your
My
parents?
dad, it was a Friday night, and there was no races at the local racetrack that night. So we went to see him Friday the 13th. And
nice.
afterwards, my dad thought he was going to be a smart ass, but it didn't go according the way I think he wanted it to go. But after we got done seeing this movie, and my dad was one of these types, he'd sneak a beer into the theater and be drinking it and stuff like that. And they'd get to that part where, you get the classic, so something's coming, with that, and so he's the one type that'll sit there and like do something to make you jump or even scream during a classic horror movie. Afterwards, he's like, "Oh, I know where this is. You want to go? We can get there in about an hour and a half. Just pack up the van." I said, "Okay." So I started packing up the van. I get the van all packed up. Motherfucker's like, "No, I'm sorry. I don't know if I, get away with that." But he's like, he sits there and it's like, "No, I don't think so. I just wanted to see how far you'd go."
Yeah. So, Adam, what was your first experience with Friday the 13th?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, you know me, Dawn. We've been on each other's shows and shit. Growing up in Maine, man, Stephen King country. I've been hip to horror since fucking I can. So, I think honestly, it was. I believe it was Jason Takes Manhattan. I think which was Kane Hodder's second role of Jason, and that fucking movie, dude. When he's going off the boat, just everything. It really appealed to me at like 9 years old, whatever. And I was Jason for like Halloween for like every year after that, dude. I'm like, this fucking guy's awesome. You know what I mean? Like Freddy just comes in your dreams, but Jason can kill you anytime. Like,
oh yeah,
Jason's
always
on horror.
has this invulnerability to him. Like he's just hard. It's harder to take down with each movie. And let's see. So Nikki, well, when did you first see Friday the 13th?
Oh God, back in 2020. I saw it recently, but yeah, I pretty much chickened down and watched like 2 hours of it, and then I ran out.
Oh, I see.
Was it the remake or the original that you watched?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
The remake sucked.
The original.
No, the original.
Awesome,
yes.
awesome.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, like I first saw it when I was. I first saw the original when I was 14.
Sorry,
I was hanging out with some friends at the mall. Yeah, we were exploring around, and I came across. I decided, you know what? I think I should get something new for my horror collection. So I figured Friday the 13th franchise. Haven't seen it yet, so might as well go with that. And this was at a FYE store, the For Your Entertainment store that they have in some malls. And I asked them if they have it, and they're like, "Yeah, it's out of stock." So we were looking around for a little bit, just about to leave. I was looking for something else. Then, crazy enough, I come across it Friday the 13th from Crystal Lake to Manhattan box set, the DVD set. I'm thinking, oh yeah, they don't have it. So I just took that. I just bought it. I know, and I no longer have it because I upgraded to Blu-ray.
Attaboy.
Crazy enough, it has. It says Friday the 13th part 3. It has the 3D function, but it doesn't give you the 3D glasses.
Oh, what? What's the point?
Exactly.
Can't you just get like 3D glasses from elsewhere? Because they have.
You can make them.
There's some zero boxes sometime, for God's sake. Yeah, they give them away.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have them now because I recently saw the Super Mario Brothers movie in 3D. So
you saw that movie? Okay.
Yeah, so I kept the 3D glasses that are from that. So I just watched the 3D. Yeah, but so wait, here, let's get to some comments first. I know I'm falling behind on that.
I've been following the
Jason
comments.
is the MVP.
Yes.
So Adrian King, the girl at the end that's in the canoe. What about? I met her last year in San.
Oh, you did? You know what, Adam?
Wow.
So have I. I've met her too about 10 years ago.
No shit. Yeah, she signed my fucking. I got it somewhere. I had it for real. There we go. The first edition. She put Adam. What about the boy?
Didn't pay my bills.
I love it.
And then I met Ari Lehman, who played the first Jason in the canoe.
That's right.
We had him actually at Paracon last year.
No shit. He's a good dude. He is
great. I can't remember.
He plays keyboards in a rock band, like a metal band. He's like a lead singer or something.
Yeah, he is. I don't remember where we had him at, but it was so ironic. At one point, my friend Tom McNicholas and we actually went out to lunch at one point, like just to take a break from the con. And while we were sitting there eating, all of a sudden I knew it was him. He comes walking into the restaurant. He literally sits right next to us, like at the table next to us. And I'm like, Tom, you know who's sitting right next to us, right? And he's kind of unaware. It's like, that's Ari Lemon. That's the first Jason.
You can tell, dude. He's got the long curly hair, the leather. He definitely plays the bar. He's got the mustache and curly mustache. I'm like, this fucking cat is somebody. You know what I mean? You can tell just looking at him.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But
and Nick, I wanted to save this for you. Hang on, right here. Nick's
laptop is dying. I just read that. Everything always dies around me. My laptop, my phone, all this other, fun crap.
Yeah. Hey, you should just do what I do. Have your laptop plugged in beforehand, like I do, so that way
we're both having issues.
So that way I won't have to worry about the battery dying. I have this thing plugged into an extension cord right now. So
I've been all over the place today, Don. I mean, I've been on my other desktop working on more presentations for my show. So I've just and again, like what Adam said earlier, I took a very long nap beforehand.
Yeah. It's fucking been raining in Maine for like 4 days, dude. When it rains, I just hibernate.
Yep, that's me too.
They're saying, who's the handsome historian? Who are you talking about, Heather?
That's my girl. That's my lady, Heather. She's at home in southern Maine. She's an old orchard. I actually moved, dude. I live about 45 minutes from Derry, Maine. I DoorDash in Bangor every day. I DoorDash by Stephen King's house. I waved to his wife, Tabitha King, last week. And
really?
Can I just say something real quick? Because I'm super excited about it. It's nothing to do with Jason. Can I just say one thing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Have any of you guys heard of or seen Pet Sematary, the first Pet Sematary by Stephen
King?
You guys, do you remember the red truck that kills Gage?
Yep.
That truck has been refurbished, and I'm going to sit in it 4th of July parade in Maine.
Oh wow!
Really?
With the fucking driver that killed Gage, Donnie Green. He's coming down from
really?
Tampa, Florida. He's coming down, dude, and I'll get to drive. He's yeah, boy. So a little bit. I'm not trying to gloat, but you fucking guys appreciate that shit. Yeah. I'm going to be in the truck that killed Gage, the first child killing in fucking horror movies, and I'm going to be in it in Bangor with the dude that killed Gage. And I'm pumped, dude. Thank you. I'm fucking excited, dude.
Oh, man. So you're going to be driving the truck.
Shotgun. No, it's a Peterbilt. He's driving it. The guy that killed Gage, he's driving it like a. He's coming down because the truck's been refurbished. It's been taken up, and he sent you guys pictures if you want later.
Oh,
but
we just lost connection.
The dude asked me, he's like, do you want to be shotgun for the truck in the parade, 4th of July parade in Maine?
Yeah, definitely.
And it says this truck was made for Pet Cemetery. It's all, and then he goes, want to go see Stephen King after? I got his number. So if I don't fucking live till 4th of July, y'all better kill me now. Because
you're gonna be riding inside the truck that's pretty much responsible for the darkest scene in that movie.
Thank you. I know you'd appreciate that, Don. I know you guys would. I'm not trying to brag. It's not every day, and not everybody can do that. And I wanted to tell my horror buddies because other people are like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Fuck, let me tell these cats because you guys will get it, dude." So I'm jazzed.
That was a hell of a movie.
Fuck yeah. It still is an all-time classic, especially in Maine. We love our king. But I think around the world, name me one author that's had more movies based on his work than King. Not even.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the novel that his wife told him to finish writing? He scared himself half to death, like halfway through writing Pet Cemetery. So he put it down, and it was like hidden away in an attic for years. His wife comes across it, starts reading it, and says, "You got to finish this."
He didn't want to. No, you're right. And you know what's funny? I've been Orrington, Maine. I've been to the house that he stayed at when his daughter Naomi's cat got killed in the real Pet Cemetery. It's on my YouTube channel, Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter. I've fucking been there, bro. I've been there. There's a dead raccoon. There's it right there. And I've been there. I've been to the scene. That's how this guy Donnie knew me. I laid down in Hancock, Maine, the house from Pet Cemetery where he killed Gage. I laid down on the road. There's a video and pictures on my YouTube. And he goes, "Holy shit." He goes, "You're bringing back memories." And he's been calling me, dude. They want him to be on Ice Road Truckers. He's a real trucker. Donnie Green, dude. Look him up. And I've been to all these places, bro. I've been to Storm of the Century. Born in Sin, come on in. I've been to that hotel. That's in Southwest Maine. Look it up.
All I know is Stephen King's one goofy looking dude, and I love him. He's did a cameo in just about every movie that's been based on his books.
I have the shopkeeper from It.
Oh, check it out.
Oh, yeah, when he did that cameo. I remember that.
Check it out. I got my little collection here. I'm going to show up. That's when I met Pinhead, the Hellraiser.
That's a classic movie. Here you go.
Miko from Pet Cemetery.
Oh, Nico Hughes, yeah.
I met the newest Mike Myers and the first Nick Castle. Met Rob Zombie.
You got the puzzle box.
I get the puzzle box. Yeah.
That's in the Rubik's Cube.
Oh, Rubik's Cube, yeah.
But it looks like the puzzle box, and then I got the bigger version.
Oh, you got just about everything.
Look at that.
He's got one too.
I got it all.
Look it out.
Oh,
Texas Chainsaw.
That was the first movie I ever saw. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Dude, that's impressive.
Thank you, guys.
There we go.
We
didn't scare her away.
Yeah.
God, I love the internet.
Pet Cemetery. Yeah, I've read that quite a few years ago, and I can understand why it's like one of the darkest stories that he's written. You know,
how do you compare it to the movie? In the book, Judd's wife is the one that dies, not so much the Maggie, the house cleaner. It's Judd's wife in the movie that died.
Yeah, the house cleaner was house cleaner was pretty much the stand-in for Judd's wife, and I like how Judd is played by from the month.
Yes.
And also the judge. He was also the judge from My Cousin Vinny.
Yes, that's right. Holy shit!
Let's not forget too. And this wasn't even a cameo. It was when he played Jordy Verrill in Creepshow.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Creepshow 2. Remember the beginning scene? He goes, "I'd swear." He goes, "I'd swear you'd die if these didn't come out." And he reads the magazines.
Yep.
I've been there, Dexter, Maine, downtown. I got a video of that. I got the fucking clock tower in the background of the truck pulls in.
Right.
Oh man, I live my life for documenting this. You guys know that. And now I've been doing movie stuff. I've been to the Lords of Salem house, Rob Zombie's girlfriend in Salem.
Wow.
I've been to Hubie Halloween's house, which is not really horror, but I love this shit, man. And that's why I dig you guys. You guys dig it too, man.
Yep. Oh, here. Heather's saying.
I've never heard any of those movies, but yep, sounds good.
Definitely something you should check out, Nikki.
Yeah.
You should.
But yeah, Pet Sematary is great. The second film, we had Edward Furlong. I wasn't too crazy about. It had Edward Furlong, who played John Connor from Terminator 2. You know, that's like to this date. I mean, Terminator 2 is like to this date his best film. You know?
Oh yeah.
Aside
the
from
dirt bike scene though, in Pet Sematary 2, the dirt bike scene with the father, the sheriff.
Yeah.
The dirt bike.
Oh, my God. And yeah, I like how like that abusive stepfather is played by let's see, that brutal prison guard from Shawshank Redemption, Clancy Brown. Clancy Brown, that's his name. Oh,
My
What
little
do we got
Lego
here
set.
now?
No, that's cool.
that's
Oh,
insane.
are
There's
those
me.
Legos?
Yeah.
There's my little Lego graveyard. I got Pennywise, Hellraiser, fucking.
Pennywise. Now there's a character for you.
There you go.
There he is with his balloons. Hey, Georgie.
Hey, Georgie.
But yeah, I mean, as far as like when you guys think about like Friday the 13th, around that time, there was nothing really dark. I mean, there was like the Amityville and shit.
Well,
really,
Texas Chainsaw was out
that's
right
true.
before
Yeah,
that
that's
too.
true,
And
yeah.
then I'm going to tell you something about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When I saw that when it was released, and I was even younger. And my dad took me to horror movies all the time. I grew up on them.
Yeah.
But we went to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and there was one that actually was at the drive-in because drive-ins usually had double features.
Yep.
So
Right.
you had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then the next film was another one, but it had a warning labels all over it,
Oh yeah.
and it was called like Gates of Hell.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh. Okay.
And if I remember right, they had like bodies buried in the back. The farmer had these bodies buried in the backyard up to their necks, and he was serving the meat.
Motel Hell.
Yeah, that's
Motel
what it
Hell.
was.
Yes. Good.
I remember that one. I think I saw that when it was on Svengoolie. I think Svengoolie had that on at one
Well,
point.
that was
I
like
remember Google had it on.
the double
She's never heard
feature
it.
at the Badger Fourplex in Madison
Um,
when it still existed, and it was Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre in that movie.
I see. Oh, and yeah, Nikki, in case you don't know, yeah, Svengoolie here in Chicago, he's like a horror show host. Like every Saturday, he shows a scary movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he shows like a scary
Used to
movie.
watch it late at night.
Yeah, he originally started, just when he first started, and this goes all the way back, believe it or not, to the mid to late 70s. No, actually early 70s, when we had Jerry G. Bishop, who was the original Svengoolie, and it was at that time, like most shows that were made were kind of based on their cities and towns, not like what it is today. So it was originally just a Chicago-based show. So like,
Oh, wow.
if you lived unless you lived in Northern Illinois, but especially if you lived outside Chicago, you wouldn't know about what the
I
show
was able to see it up here when we got cable. One of the first channels was WGN.
That's right.
Hey, Billy.
So and he'd be on there late at night.
Yep.
Like really late at night. I've always been kind of a night owl, so I watched him all the time.
Yeah.
It's funny songs.
Yeah, but it started back in the 70s, and then at one point the show was canceled and they brought it back. That's when it became Son of Svengoolie in the mid 80s when Rich Coast took over. But after about a couple years, they canceled it again, and they made a third attempt at bringing back the show. But by then, they decided to simply call the show Svengoolie because they decided that Rich Coase was old enough and they could take the son of. So even in the mid 90s, all the way up to the late 2000s, was when it was still just a Chicago-based show. Before around, say it was about 10 years ago, when they finally expanded throughout the entire country. And I think eventually he is going to try to expand to other countries. So there's always a possible chance, Nikki, that maybe his show will eventually reach out to Australia.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely would love to have him on my shows.
Hey, Angelo. Yeah, Angelo.
I gotta ask real quick. So is on Australia, like, is horror movies big? Like, is that like a normal? Do people walk around in Jason shirts and?
No.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The only ones I pretty much have heard is the Freddy Krueger one, Jason, Friday 13, and that's pretty much it.
No shit.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
No
We
shit.
have conventions around that shit here.
Yeah, we don't
Oh.
have. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know, of course, Australia has made a number of horror films throughout the years, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really surprising that you guys don't have like horror film cons
Yeah.
throughout the
No,
entire
no.
country.
Yeah, and yeah, like there are a few horror films that there are actually some like horror films that I remember from Australia that I do enjoy. One of them I actually do have on my phone. It's a one that's inspired by a true story. It's called Rogue. It's inspired by the story about the.
He knows that
I want
movie.
to see it now. Her reaction alone makes me want to see it.
Adam basically Rogue is. Yeah, Rogue is like inspired by the true story of a crocodile called Sweetheart who was responsible for some boat attacks. But unlike the movie, it didn't. Sweetheart didn't actually kill anybody in real life.
Oh.
See, another horror film I could think of, and this is actually a brutal horror film, and this is also one that's also based on a true story. It's been two movies. There's been two movies, and they've even made a short television series, Wolf Creek.
Oh yeah, you know what? Here,
yeah.
Billy's talking about that right here.
Yep, Wolf Creek. Yep.
Oh wow! No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's not like your typical type slasher film, where people are dying, being chopped up. It's a brutal film. It's really hard to watch. I mean,
Wow, I got a couple of my list to add now.
the first two are hard to watch with a TV series. I mean, it's still brutal, but it's not as like it's kind of hard. It does kind of fit into the so-called torture porn genre, so it's not an easy movie to watch.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yep.
learning, I'm learning stuff, and it's,
I don't know. I think I've seen a couple that are worse than that.
I'll see if I.
Well, I'll just make this. I'll keep this real short, but the true story behind Wolf Creek was based on the and Nick, you probably have heard of this if I'm correct.
Yeah.
It was based on the Ivan Millet murders that happened across Australia's east coast.
I saw the movie.
Yeah, it was based on the Ivan Millet murders that occurred, and it was so horrific of what they found these bodies just cut to shreds. Like the violence of it was so intense.
Wow.
And what makes matters worse is that it takes place in the Australian outback. So there's one person who said that he's driven across the outback. You get out of your car and you scream, even if you made the loudest scream ever generated from your lungs, not a soul in the world is going to hear you. No one.
Yeah.
It's like Alaska. You go out there and that's where missing people are buried. Holy shit. That's scary.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
Wikipedia strikes.
Sorry, I'm just Googling stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Friday the 13th. You mentioned like Adrienne King. She's like the star of this film. And her alongside Kevin Bacon, and this is like his second movie. His first one was where he played a bit part in Animal House. But this was before he was in Footloose, where he really started to make a name for himself. And
he was the third one killed.
Oh yeah, he was.
He was the third one killed. And he got killed. You got an arrow right through and I thought it was kind of funny because it's more of like a hunting arrow. Yeah, but it was more of a hunting arrow, and they were setting up an archery thing for target practice. And when the dude shot the arrow at her, it was more of a target arrow.
Right.
Right.
But all of a sudden, Kevin Bacon gets that hunting arrow right through his throat.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, where the hell did they come from?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, gruesome kill, but the way they did that though, like I'm not sure like how the killer would be able to do that, like have the ability to hold get from under the bed, do this, and then just put the arrow through, like the angling, the way that happens. I'm not sure if that's possible.
Well, that woman that played Jason's mom, she's a pretty big woman.
Oh yeah, Betsy. What was
Betsy Palmer.
No. It's just that the angling, the way the angling worked, didn't really make much sense. Like
sure did. You just had to look at it.
But I do like, but the way they did this effect to make the blood come out, like they had like a what they did was they had Kevin Bacon like have his head above, his body from the neck down, from his head down was fake, and like the arrow coming through the neck, and they had like a tube that sprayed the blood out.
Oh, check it out, guys!
wow.
Lawrence
Yeah, and it started
got the
bubbling,
location.
and they weren't expecting that either.
Yeah, that's the
Lawrence,
thing. I
as soon
just
as
love
you send them.
I just
Sorry,
like
Don,
how
go ahead, Don, go ahead.
I just like the build up that they have towards the kills that they had doing this. Like they like some of them like the point of view shots, and like I especially love that in the opening scene, like the killer's just like lurking around the camp. This is back in like it showed that flashback in 1958 when like Camp Crystal Lake was still in business, like a year after Jason had drowned, and the POV shot of him, the killer just looking around, seeing the kids sleeping, but is going after counselors that are, that are up to no good, because this film is a prime example of how, like, how teens doing some dumb teen stuff you'll get slaughtered for it, pretty much. And but yeah,
No, I was
will
just going to say, I mean, what Lauren said. Lauren, as soon as you send me those pictures, I'll share them so that way you guys can see it. What's going on, Donald? Actually, Donald was supposed to come on with us, but unfortunately, he can't. So he's just going to be tuning in, Don.
I see.
That's
fine.
That was filmed at a camp in New Jersey.
Yes, it was.
Right.
Yeah, with the Boy Scout camp in New Jersey. Yeah,
And it's still in operation.
they do tours, Jason tours every October. I want to try to do one this year.
Yeah, because
I guess I'll never get that. I'll never get that far. So.
Yeah, I've had a film. Yeah, I figured that the movie took place in New Jersey because there was like this one scene where Anos the truck driver was giving the camp counselor Amy a ride, and he was driving in the GMC 5000, one of those old fashioned type of trucks, and it said on there on the side of it.
New Jersey.
Yeah, it said on the side. I wrote this down. Let's see. It said Waterloo Road, Stanhope, New Jersey on the side. So
right. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's
I
how
had to watch the movie again just to refresh my memory.
Yeah, but Annie. I gotta say this. Annie was like the one. Yeah, Annie was like the one character that I felt sorry the most for, because she just seemed like a, like a really enthusiastic about wanting to work with kids. Seemed like a nice girl who just didn't deserve to die. I just felt sorry for that character. What's that clicking noise?
I think that's me.
Oh,
she's using her phone, so
Yeah.
At the end, when she's in the canoe and she's just got her hand in the water, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's a nice ending." And then Jason comes out.
They made that.
Fuck you. See you.
I can still remember, like, because I must have saw the first Friday the 13th back when I was in middle school, and at that time, I mean, yes, it was a version of it. It was when I know they still do it today on the channel AMC when they do like FearFest in October. Although I think we saw it when they actually have like marathons for Friday the 13th. I remember sitting there watching it, and it's kind of funny of how my reaction is kind of looking back. I'm thinking, oh, so Jason wasn't the killer in this movie, and for some reason, it's like I was kind of disappointed by it. I was only
I was too when I first saw it. It's like
Well, here's how it was for me. It's like I was disappointed, and the music I think just kind of added that somber feeling to it. But as soon as Jason came out of the water, it scared the hell out of me. And by the end, I was like, I was happy at that point. Thinking, okay, he may have not been the killer in the movie, but he still made an appearance somewhat.
And I think the filmmakers wanted to end without Jason coming out of the water.
They wanted to make a scene kind of that's reminiscent of Carrie, in fact, because Tom Savini, special effects artist, who did a lot of the effects. Don, I think you met him before, right? When we went all those years ago.
Oh yes, I have.
Yeah.
He's coming to Maine next week with Corey Taylor and a bunch of people. They're doing a thing. Tom Savini, Corey Taylor, fucking. I gotta beat Savini because he did Creep Show too. He was the creep in Creep Show too.
Yes, he was.
Not to cut you off, Nick, but yeah, Savini's a fucking legend, dude. I'm sorry.
He is. But he once said when they were talking about trying to get this movie done, they were talking about, well, how are we going to end this movie? Even though he wasn't the director, but he's like, he gave a suggestion. Yeah, he gave a suggestion, like thinking, we should do something like, like how they do it with Carrie. So they talked about saying, well, how could we try to make it unexpected because we don't want to make it like Carrie. But yeah, that is awesome.
Nice.
So, and I'll tell you right now, from what I've heard from like those who made that movie, they said when Jason came out of the water for the first time, like out in theaters, popcorn and drinks were flying everywhere in the audience.
Yes. That's fucking awesome.
It did.
Hey Nick, is somebody like on a keyboard? I keep hearing some noise.
That's coming again. That's coming from Nikki's phone.
It is okay.
So yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, it's no big deal, Nikki. It's just it's there's not much we can do about it. No, I'm not really noticing it too much. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm fine.
I was like popcorn popping.
Yeah, I was thinking of something going on in the background. I'm like, what is
my popcorn? What the fuck? Movie
you
time.
You want to be the person to clean up those theaters after Friday the 13th.
Oh my God, cleaning up afterwards. Imagine how much. Yeah.
I know. I was there when that first came out. I saw it in the theater when it first came out. Even though it was a small town, during a small town theater, it'd probably been at the box office for maybe a week at that time. By the time it got to the town we lived in, and that first weekend, the place was packed, and the popcorn and drinks that were on the floor with the candy and the chocolate, and then everybody getting up to leave afterwards and stepping all over it. Yeah, it was a mess. I wouldn't have want to been the person to clean that mess up.
Hey, Insane Joe, you didn't see the piss stains. People piss their pants on the seat, though. You didn't see that part, did you? Why is all the seats wet? You put your foot. I already pissed their fucking seat. Now that's a good movie.
Okay, now you got me wanting to
think about that one.
Hey, okay, Adam. Now you got me thinking. Oh man, I should probably check like the seat every time I go see a horror film. Make sure nobody's done that on it.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Well, someone mentioned that the Evil Dead Rise is playing. Well, that looks horrifying.
Yeah.
There's some piss seats in those theaters locally.
She just lost her connection again.
Oh, lost connection. Oh,
she'll come back on. I know she will.
With some of the theaters nowadays, with those cushy seats, they're kind of hard to clean too.
Yeah,
it really absorbs.
Oh, Jesus.
Those poor theater goers.
You guys do. That's right, Nick. You guys do drive-ins by you? I still have some drive-ins here in Maine. We do some. Get some beer, some joints, some pizza.
There's a drive-in up in the Dells still. I'm not sure if the one in Jefferson's still open or not.
Yeah, but
I know,
but they're not as popular as they used to be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
As a kid growing up in the 70s, man, we had in Madison alone, there was Big Sky Drive-In. That's now Fox 47.
Oh.
And then there was a Badger fourplex. So they had 4 screens there, and that was a popular place, man. And they always had at least 1 or 2 horror films.
I dig
at the Badger fourplex.
That's fucking dope. Yeah.
And I grew up in Madison, so I grew up with that and arcades and all that other shit.
Yeah.
Now I go around exploring it. I'm a paranormal investigator, so I go around investigating the strange, the weird, the unexplained.
Oh, here
she's coming back. Here we go. All right, we got you back.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, like, Don, I don't know if you know this, but as far as drive-ins go, we actually do have a drive-in. I think about like 20 minutes, half hour away from us. And that's the thing I've noticed lately too, is like if you kind of think about it, I've noticed that drive-in theaters seem to be making a comeback. Like they're starting to open them up again.
Remember COVID started that. Movie theaters shut down, everything was streaming. Well, all the local theaters opened up the drive-ins because COVID, so everybody just stayed in the car. 2020 again.
That's right.
It made sense.
Yeah.
Lawrence got a question for you, Adam.
Oh, well, I don't really like to talk too much. You didn't notice I'm not a talker much. That's a great question. I love my Maine, man. I've driven to Iowa to go see the Axe Murder House in Vasilla, Iowa. I've driven to Florida. I've driven to.
We were supposed to see that.
Yeah, I went to Virginia to go see Radford. I went to go see the Mothman in West Virginia. But Maine is my home. Born and raised, man. I long story short, I was born in Lewiston, Maine, where Muhammad Ali beat Sonny Liston in like 2 seconds of Phantom Punch. That was in Lewiston. But I grew up in Lisbon, the town next to me. And Stephen King, long story short, grew up in Durham, right next to Lisbon. And he went to the same high school as me. My senior year, History Channel was there doing a thing. So I've been into King forever. So I grew up in Lisbon, which is kind of like I don't know, man. It's like central Maine in a way. It's really not by anything. Then I moved to southern Maine, like Old Orchard Beach, Saco area, Portland. You guys probably heard of Portland. Portland is a hotel where Ozzy Osbourne threw a couch off the fucking 18th floor in the street. Yeah,
I read about that.
So now I live in, believe it or not, Adams, and that's no shit, Adams, Maine. I live right next, 45 minutes from Bangor and 45 minutes from the Appalachian Trail ending or start, right next to Moosehead Lake, where there was a B-52 bomber crash site. I've been there on my YouTube channel. There's fucking airplane things everywhere. 7 people died, and there's shit everywhere. But yeah, long story short, man, I forget what the question was now. Yeah, I live in fucking Adams, Maine by Bangor, Maine. I grew up in Lisbon, Maine. I've kind of been all over. And I've been to where witches are buried. I've been to Bucksport, where there's a witch's footprint on a dude's tombstone, Colonel Buck. I've been to King's House. I've been to, you name it, man. I've been to Poland Spring, the bottling water factory. I've been there. So I've been to a lot of cool shit. When it comes to Maine, I'm kind of the connoisseur. So if you come to Maine, I'll hook you up, man.
Hey, get a hold of me. Send me a friend's request.
I will, brother. I'll have you on my show. I do a podcast.
I'll have you on my show.
Yeah, they
want.
And
my show is the Insane Asylum. See?
So yeah,
that's my show.
Yeah, so I wanted to get back to the cast of Friday the 13th. Hey, Adrienne King, you said you met her, right?
Yes, she makes wine
yeah,
now.
I've met her too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Crystal Lake wine, right, Nick? She makes her own wine.
She
Yeah,
does?
She sells it. Yeah, Crystal Lake wine.
Really?
Nice.
I got a bottle. I had one. I drank it. It's good. I got a bottle still keepsake somewhere.
Yeah, when I was like younger, like when I first saw Friday the 13th, I thought, oh, this Adrienne King, she's great in this film. I was wondering why I hadn't seen that. And I was like wondering why I haven't seen her in much of anything else. And I was horrified when I learned the truth about it, because right around the time when the movie Friday the 13th, when the movie came out, she had this insanely obsessed fan that was stalking her, like leaving her all kinds of things at her door, to the point where this person actually broke into her house, and this caused her to go. I don't know if they caught the dude or not. This caused her to go into a hiatus from acting, like right after she wanted to be killed off in part 2, so she don't have to worry about that anymore. I was just like horrified hearing about that. I just hope that. I'm just hoping that she's okay and has been able to overcome any kind of trauma that she had surely gotten off of that experience.
She was with her. I imagine her husband at the meet and greet thing. So I imagine, she seemed modest, but I think that's horrible. I think especially with actresses. I mean, guys can hold their own, but with these girls, especially like wrestling chicks, like the wrestling, like Alexa Bliss and all these girls, they get hounded by airports and shit by these fucking people. And chicks in horror movies. Look at I met who's the chick? Danielle Harris. I met her. Everybody loves Danielle Harris, and she's kind of standoffish, and I can imagine she's a short thing. She's gorgeous, and everybody's probably fucking like up her ass. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
yeah. I can't stand people who do things like that. I mean, just I can't believe people like that. There's like psychos little like that out there, man.
Well, you can't do that.
Boundaries.
I guess I had to learn things the hard way, because the way I ended up meeting a lot of these famous people, I had to keep myself professional. Because I was a security, did security and stuff like that. And then when I was driving cab, you had to keep it professional. Right. You didn't want to piss them off by asking them 100 million questions, even though you were a fan. Right. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing too. Like whenever I go to like Paracons, for example, and you see like a lot of the big names and stuff, I always try to be as professional as possible, like not always asking all these questions, just simply in the end, just simply having a normal conversation, like with what we're doing right now. So that's always the important thing when you meet a lot of these stars.
You gotta keep it in check, man. You gotta keep your fanboy shit. Like when I met Miko Hughes, I go, Miko, and I show him the picture. I go, you remember this? And it was the road in Hancock where he got killed in Pet Cemetery. I go, I've been to this, and I've been to your grave site where your dad dug you up. He goes, oh man. And I get the video of me meeting him and Kane Hodder on my YouTube channel at the ScreamCon last year in Danvers, Massachusetts. Danvers used to be Salem Village, where four out of the 20 witches were from Danvers that got killed in Salem. So this is where the Paracon was, which is also America's oldest fruit tree, 1623 pear tree, the Edcott pear tree. I've been there. It's gated with black gate around it. Check that out.
That's awesome.
I know my shit. I got to go look at everything when I'm going to play. I got to go fucking see it, So I went to the Danvers State Asylum, which was the inspiration for Batman's Arkham Asylum, and it was also an H.P. Lovecraft's book. And I've been there. It's an apartment complex now, but it's
You've been to a lot of places.
I love it, brother. I love it. But that's I digress. What I want to say is, like, I want to talk to our friend here. What I know, Australian Paranormal Society, William and Amanda Tabone, they're from Australia. They're some of my friends. They talk about the Airedale Asylum out there. Does that sound familiar? Aradale Asylum in Australia. They go there ghost hunting a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think it's on the other side of the country, but yeah,
Really?
I'll definitely like to check that out one day.
Yeah, I got the book here
On my
somewhere.
bucket list.
Yeah, we gotta check it out.
Well, Adam's looking. I just want to point out what Donald just said. He makes another good point, saying, when it comes to meeting guests, keeping it professional with them definitely offers some relief for them. But of course, even still, it's hard for them to relax while out in public.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. Like that's had enough. Like that's been a terrible experience for her. Like a lot of it's a shame that a lot of actors and actresses have to go through something like that. It's
horrible.
It just makes a bad name for everybody else that is a true fan that doesn't want to see them get hurt. I mean, they are what they are. They're stalkers. They need to be put down.
Yeah, I've always that. The curious thing about that is just really that intention. Because over the years, obviously, with all the paranormal connections that I've made, obviously, I've had a couple crazy fans myself, so I'm always a little worried.
I've had
for sure. Oh yeah,
I've had a couple too.
All the time.
Yeah, I've had a couple too.
I'm not making any comments because we've had a few online stalkers.
Yeah.
And they're really a pain in the ass sometimes.
Okay, let's just move on.
Moving forward.
I gotta just answer this question that Billy asked. Yeah, Billy, I knew there was a Friday the 13th TV series, but it had nothing to do with Jason or any of that whatsoever. It was just
not related.
It was like it was an anthology series, wasn't it? Yes. From the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I was all excited. I turned on. I go, "Where the fuck's Jason? What is this shit?"
Yeah, really. I remember that one.
It had nothing to do with it. But speaking of
Jason, Donald, it's not.
Speaking of Jason, so Jason featured in this when he cut the way he was he looked. There was some speculation as to he may have had some sort of a condition to make him look that way, the swelling of the head. And I looked into this condition there. It's called hydrocephalus.
Hydrocephalus. That's water in the brain.
Yes, I looked it up, and it says right here that I looked it up, and it says right here it causes fluid buildup in brain cavities, which leads to brain damage and bloating in the head, which would experience which would explain why he looked that way in the end.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't know if they based it off of it because there's actually a cryptid type creature out there that kind of resembles Jason. I'm not even joking, Don. Except the difference is there's more than one. I know it's going to sound crazy, but there's actually it's in the cryptid category. They're called the melon heads, which are these.
Oh, I've heard of that.
They're like these small beings with these large bulbous heads that occasionally emerge from their hiding places to attack people. And they're
I've heard about them.
Yeah, they're
Drive in Connecticut. Yeah, buddy.
You guys, they're like these cannibalistic mutants.
Back to this Friday the 13th. This one's basically, and I sat back and had to think about it because I've watched it many times over the years because I used to own and manage video stores back in the day. But it's kind of like an origin story. You don't see too many of those in horror films.
No, you don't.
No.
Rob Zombie did that with Halloween. I think his Halloween, the first one. Remember, it's got the kid when he slits the father's throat.
Right. But I mean, but look how far those have gone. You know, how many Halloweens have there been since then?
342, I think.
and you can't count 3 because 3 was like a standalone.
Right.
He's the witch.
That's because their intention with it was to make Halloween a series like this anthology series, like a different story, for each Halloween film. But then when the third film came out, everyone was just like, "Where's Michael Myers? What is this?"
Now That one actually creeped me out the most.
Well, you know, they actually said
because of all the insects coming out of the masks and the mouths, and you know that was. But you know,
oh, I love it.
No,
Check
no.
it here, right? Let's put that on solo layout. That is amazing. Oh, you gotta put a
I got one of those too. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to mention. Let's see.
DJ asked if I'm a ghost hunter or a monster hunter.
Yeah,
I
was going to say you had another question.
I hunt lore. As everybody else is obsessed with fucking video games and fantasy, which I love movies too. But at the same time, man, let's go see where the fucking biggest ball of yarn is. Let's go see where I went to the Black Dahlia murder, the girl that got murdered.
Yeah.
She was born in Massachusetts. I went to her house there, and I went to where she stayed in Portland, Maine. I went to the first ever railroad. I went to where James Whitey Bulger killed motherfuckers underneath the Saponsett River Bridge in fucking Quincy, Mass. I've been there. I've been to every place. I've been to the birthplace of the fried clam. That's in Massachusetts, Essex, Massachusetts, at Woodman's. I've been to the birthplace of the hamburger. That's in Louis Lunch in Connecticut, 1895. I've been to, you name it, motherfuckers. I'll go tomorrow. Let's pump the gas in it and go. And I hunt anything, man. Wendigos, monsters, history, lore, movie stars. Fucking ape shit. I don't care, dude. Life's too short. I died in a car accident 2 years ago for 35 seconds. After my mom died, left me her car. That guy that hit me, they never found him. So since I came back to life, man, and I'm 44 now, no kids. I got my girl, God love her, Heather. That's all I got. My mom's dead. All my best friends died of cancer. I died. I got nothing, dude. I got my podcast. Seems like I'm a nice guy. I literally don't have one friend. I don't talk to anyone.
And you're here with us.
I appreciate it. Seriously. They'll go, oh, you got a podcast? Because I do. I'm a podcast host. I used to work.
You and I need to talk some more.
I work with the Warren Legacy Foundation.
I got a lot in common.
Historian with Ed and Lorraine's grandson, Ed and Lorraine Warren's grandson. I worked for them, the Warren Legacy. I was the Northeast historian, but I quit because I want to do my own thing. Because now I'm meeting Stephen King people and writing in fucking movie fucking things and in parades. Okay. So life's taking me, brother. Life's taking me, and life's too short. So I hunt it all, motherfuckers. Period.
Hey, live life. Hey, you got to live life to the fullest, man.
God damn. I could be dead. I should be dead 4 years ago. I'm here.
I should have been dead 10 10, 15, 20 years ago, something like that. I'm past my expiration date.
Yeah. That's how I look at it. That's how I feel it, brother.
I was diagnosed.
Built for me.
I'll tell you what, just real quick. I was diagnosed with leukemia December 4th, 1995. Ooh. I was told I wasn't going to live to see Christmas that year. Jeez. Okay, by the doctors at the UW hospital in Madison, where I lived for about 2.5 years. Man. Okay. I died when they got me to the hospital and I was in the emergency room. I died 5 different times. They had to use those paddles.
God bless you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had an out of body experience because during all of that stuff. And when they say you die and you come back, you do kind of rethink things.
And those paddle things hurt for about 6 months after. Your chest will hurt for 6 months after those goddamn paddles.
I was so full of morphine for so long, I didn't feel a whole lot.
Well, yeah, that helps.
You know.
I stayed off drugs, though. I just weed. I stayed off the pills and shit.
Well, they had
movies and weed, and my good friends here, man. I'd be talking to Nick and Dawn forever, man.
They pumped me full of morphine and then sent me home cold turkey.
Holy shit, dude.
And that was almost worse than the leukemia because I really thought I was gonna die.
Jesus,
you know. My mom was crying every day, calling the hospital, screaming. You know, it's like it was bad news. So I don't like pills. You know, I got to take pills for my heart, but other than that,
Tom.
Hey, Tom.
I won't take pills unless it's absolutely necessary. My BMT doctor told me, even though it's not legal, I should smoke pot.
You should. It's legal in Maine. Come to Maine. I'll hook you up. It's good green.
And I've been smoking it ever since.
So, wouldn't that be cool if I just did that and all of a sudden?
Tommy,
that would be cool.
Well, yeah, welcome, Tom.
It's better than mine.
Yeah. Well, God bless you, Joe.
I'm just going to say,
I'm glad you're here with us, brother.
Yeah.
Sorry, all I got to say is that we're definitely glad that you're still here with us and obviously speaking with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
but-
I'm late to the party here.
no problem.
I got the
It's
message
heavy,
from
bud.
Nick earlier, and I was binge watching a show, and it's been a long day. And before I knew it, I was waking up, and it was like 10:15. I was like,
Wow, Lord.
Yeah, and
It is
So-
10:15. So you're East Coast time, Tom, like me?
yes,
Right.
I'm in Philly.
Oh, right on, Philly. I went to real quick. I went to Philly last summer, and I saw the first ever World's Eastern State Penitentiary, the first penitentiary
Yes.
ever. And I saw in Holy Cross Cemetery where America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes, is buried.
And
they-
he had him here. He was from Chicago.
Well, he
And-
was born in New Hampshire, in Gilmington, New Hampshire. I've been to his childhood home. I got a brick from it. The girl told me.
And the zoo
Or show and tell.
the zoo that we have here is the very first zoo in the country too.
Wow.
Check out check out H.H. Holmes' childhood home. It's Gilmington, New Hampshire. I've been there. I got a video on my YouTube channel, and the girl goes, she's doing the brick. She goes, "You're here for H.H.?" I go, "Yeah, Mr. Holmes." She goes, "He was a bad man." I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you want a brick? Don't do any satanic rituals." I go, "No, ma'am, my goat's gone." And I fucking grabbed the fucking brick. I got my Mustang and the fucking peace out chicken grease. That was killer. Yeah, then I went to his grave. Sorry, not to cut you off, but fucking,
That's
I'm
fine.
hyper now. I'm all fucking. This is good weed.
so
It's funny that you mentioned having a YouTube channel because I also have
Yes,
one.
go
It's
to
just
his.
right down here.
Subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's got.
I will. Sub for sub.
YouTube.com/Sub
Sub for sub.
World.
Up for sub. Adam the Historian Ghost Hunter, motherfucker. And I'll sub
There you
to yours. I'm almost
cool.
at 300 now. I'm growing. TikTok, I'm almost at 1,000. Once I can go live, who knows, man?
I remember being at 300 so long ago.
So Tom,
Fuck you.
when did you? So Tom, when did you first see the movie Friday the 13th? When did you first see this?
The first time I saw it, I was pretty young actually, and it was very confusing to me as a kid because I had actually already had seen by the time I saw the first one, I had already seen the second and the third, right? So I'm watching the first one and like the whole movie, I'm like,
You saw the 2 and 3rd first?
yeah, I'm like,
Kind of a half-ass backwards way
I'm
of
like,
doing
where the hell's Jason? You know,
That's a. I'm gonna watch them all backwards. What a trip!
you know, just
Watch
watch him out.
Jason get younger.
Watch them out of order. It's kind of like watching Pulp Fiction, you know. It's
Oh,
like,
my
Yeah, pretty much.
mind blown. That's my fucking mind blown. I gotta watch. I gotta go do that tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
So like Friday the 13th. It's where they are trying to get this Camp Crystal Lake up and running, despite the the terrible history of it. Boy drowning, the 2 counselors, Barry and Claudette being killed in that POV sequence, and then they were talking about how there were a bunch of fires started, so clearly arson, and then the water was bad. So I'm guessing Jason's mother had poisoned the water or something.
I never thought of it that way.
You fucking know your shit,
Possible.
John. God
Yeah.
damn, you're like the Rain Man of horror movies. God damn.
He's like the Rain Man of horror movies. I'm like Wikipedia for paranormal
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, just movies in general.
yeah, that definitely poisoned the water.
Yeah,
Fantastic,
I used to be like
fantastic
that.
boys. Wow.
Oh yeah. And like I was telling them earlier, Tom, that the one character that I did feel sorry the most for in Friday the 13th was Annie, because she seemed like someone who really wanted to be there for the kids, enthusiastic about working summer camp, seemed like an overall nice girl, and just didn't deserve to die. You know, like
Wow.
that's
You got a heart
Wow.
for her.
But the rest of them did, right?
well, Ned was a goofball, and like and then there was the sin of like what was it, Jack and Marcy, you know, like getting it on when in a horror film. I mean, that's a recipe for death right there. I mean,
Well,
that's a
yeah.
no-brainer. And that was a brutal scene where Marcy like had the axe to the head, and it was
That was brutal. Yeah, that was.
the Rain
I'll
Man.
agree with that.
yeah, that was
That's like-
I started something.
that was a suspenseful buildup.
That's like
So
one of
you-
the rules of horror movies. You know, you don't go off and have sex. You don't say, "Let me go check out what that noise was." Like, there's all
Yeah,
different
exactly.
types of rules.
Drugs,
you
you know.
know?
Yeah, drugs either. Yeah, because
No.
because Jack was smoking marijuana. The very last thing he did
Yeah,
was the
Kevin
arrow.
Bacon, the last thing he did was take a hit off that joint
Yeah.
Fucked.
before the spear went.
So
through
you're in
his
trouble
throat.
now.
So
That's
yeah.
gonna be me.
Yeah. So when you think back earlier, so you think back earlier to when the cops showed up to look for Crazy Ralph, and he was saying, "You've been doing drugs." He's like, "Nope, don't smoke, causes cancer." And he's like, I'm talking about the marijuana. And so yeah, he lied to the cops saying, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about."
That's right.
That's the character I hated the most. Was that cop? He's
I think
just
it's
the
a
type
crazy
of
realm.
person. He's just the type of person. That cop is just the type of person you want to slap the shit out of.
Yeah.
You've been doing
they
drugs? No, not at all, man. I'm talking about marijuana. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Kevin Bacon, marijuana's bad.
Tom's not here, man. Tom's not here. No, I'm Tom, man. Tom's not here, man.
I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too. Yes. Mitch Hedberg, yes.
Yes.
yeah, there we go.
Peace, Mitch.
She returns.
DJ Evan is right by Nova Scotia where Bloody Valentine was filmed. That's pretty killer.
Oh, nice.
No shit. The original's awesome. The remake pretty good.
Oh,
too.
you know what? I'm just gonna say this quickly. I'm not change course, Don, but if you didn't know, Adam, every year, like around Valentine's Day, Don and I, along with a couple of our friends of ours, we always get together and watch My Bloody Valentine, the original. That's been a tradition.
Okay, well, I was going to ask you that. Do you guys do that? Like, as
Yes,
far
we
as
do.
like holiday movies? Like, there's not really a lot for
April
Thanksgiving.
Fool's Day. You should watch that one.
April Fool's Day with the chicks with the noose
That-
for her hair.
We
Yeah.
do watch that
We
one.
did that. That was our last podcast we did.
We
Before
were
that.
just watching that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was on that one. Man.
Yep,
That's
you were on
cool.
that one, Tom.
That's cool.
Yep.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. What's your favorite Christmas horror movie?
Ooh, good question.
Oh.
One of them is Black Christmas. Another one is Gremlins.
I love Gremlins.
Gremlins is a classic.
That is Christmas. You're right, technically.
Gremlins got classified as a Christmas movie shortly after it was out on VHS, and
right.
and then shortly after that, it became classified as a cult classic.
Oh yeah.
And they're rebooting it.
Yeah, I
What?
heard
That's a
been
mistake.
for years.
That's a mistake.
It sure is.
It's gonna be all
I mean,
CGI bullshit. All
Unless-
CGI.
I know, that's what I'm afraid of.
Unless Howie Mandel still does the voice of Gizmo, then it's cool.
He has
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I know they've been trying to make a third one for like 30 years now. But
Oh, this is the
I heard
third
it's
one.
now
It's
gonna
a
be a reboot.
It's a reboot. It's not a third one at all.
I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a chance.
And Nikki, what is
tried,
your favorite, what is your favorite Christmas horror film?
It's not Christmas related, but there's a movie I recently watched and it's based on a true story. It's the Karen Knight true story crime, but in Australia. She was the first female serial killer.
Oh, I've heard of that. I think I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Ooh.
I think
Yeah,
I saw
it's
that
pretty-
listed somewhere.
Yes.
You'll
So for
like
my
them.
Christmas, for my favorite Christmas one, I'm obviously two Black Christmas. But there is one. I mean, it's not necessarily. Don, you're gonna know this already. It's not necessarily horror, but it does have horror elements to it, and that's
Yeah.
undoubtedly The Nightmare Before Christmas, which this year
I
it's
knew you were
turning
going to
30.
say that. I just
Yeah.
had a feeling you were going to say that. For some
I
reason,
was born the
thinking you
same year it
were
came out,
talking-
1993.
Yeah.
Staying true. Staying true.
Yeah, Nick has the animatronic of Jack Skellington in his place.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you got all this talk that I'm just gonna say this. All this talk we're talking about holiday horror movies. How I actually got Jack is those animatronics are usually really expensive. They're like $250. Now, some of you guys know this, some of you guys don't know. A couple of years ago, I used to work at Spirit Halloween. Great store, by the way.
For sure.
The pay is great. I just love the job. But the first time that I worked there, they had the animatronic on display, and my first thought was, "There's no way I'm getting this because somebody is going to purchase it." The entire time I worked there, even to Halloween, nobody purchased it, and I think some of us have. I think we just lost her again. She'll come back though, but
She's in tomorrow, for God's sake. She's a future tomorrow, for God's sake.
You need to ask her for the lottery numbers, man.
So yeah, well, so what happened was, like right after when Halloween's over, like everything's reduced.
Oh, yeah. That's the best time to go to those stores.
Day after Halloween, hit it up. Yeah.
Well,
Right, exactly.
see, as an employee of the store, it's actually better because, like, for other customers, it's like 50% off. But as employees, you get an additional 30% off. So for me, it was 80%.
Fucking free. Practically.
Well, it was almost. It was
If you
almost
time it
free.
right, it's free.
What it was, the original price for, there were only two. They only had two of them. The original price for it was $250. but with the 50% discount, the additional discount, I only paid like $50 for him. And we've kept him up ever since. I mean, he's not up on display now, but we not only just keep him up for Halloween. I actually keep him up for the other holidays, and I dress him up, of course, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, Easter. Soon in a couple months, he'll be dressed up again for 4th of July. You're gonna have to see the pictures because I know
it's adorable.
Yeah, it's awesome. That. So we're actually able to put more use into him than just 2 seasons, and it's been great. He's never been taken apart or been rebuilt. He's been all in one piece since we got him.
Wow, that's worth some money.
Should find somebody that can like program like different things that he can say and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
And you think about it, in the movie, they get the tree. It's got all the holidays on it. It's got the Easter egg. It's got all the shit on the tree. So it's not like he's just Halloween.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I got to take off in about 2 minutes, guys.
Oh, you do? Okay.
My fucking laptop's going to die. My charger's in the car.
Hey, Adam, before you go, I do recommend this. Tom, I was just talking about this earlier. This one movie from Australia that I do horror film from Australia I do recommend is this right here. I have this saved on my phone.
Rogue. Is that the Carolina? Yeah.
Oh, yes, you mentioned that earlier. I really got to check that out, huh?
Yep, inspired by a true story. It has Rhoda Mitchell in it, and it has Sam Worthington in it.
The killer gator, right?
Nope, not gator. Crocodile.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was one final thing too, Adam, just before you got out, because Lauren asked this earlier. I've been meaning to show. She had a question actually for all of us. She had asked, out of all the horror movies, what is each of your favorites and why? So I thought maybe we should get that question answered just before you go, Adam.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not trying to rush anybody. You guys can always all talk. I just gotta bounce out. But for my favorite horror movie. Oh boy, that's rough. Honestly, and I know I've beaten the fucking Stephen King horse. I'm definitely not gonna suck his cock anytime soon. I love The Shining. I love The Shining. When I was 8 years old, my stepfather went hunting. My mom stayed up and watched The Shining. It was my first horror experience after watching Care Bears and fucking left wrestling and which I love all that shit. You know what I mean? But whatever the fuck. And then all of a sudden I sit down and my mom was like, "You want to watch? Can you handle it?" And I remember I was like, "Yeah." And then the 2 girls holding hands, the elevator of blood, the fucking everything. And I started, I go, "Wow, what is this world?" She goes, he went to the school you're going to go to. Stephen King went to the same high school you're going to go to in a couple of years. And that was it. I watched The Shining. And then, of course, I watched Stand By Me. But then I watched It. And fucking then Jason Voorhees. And then Pennywise. And now I'm watching fucking Human Centipede 5. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. They made a 5th one?
Oh, wow.
No, I'm on 3. I got 3. 1, 2, and 3.
3 is
But
bad.
I mean, honestly, dude, I know it sounds cliche, and I know King didn't even like Kubiak's version of The Shining, but I probably got to go The Shining, dude. It's not even really a horror, even though it is. I think it's more of a mental twist thriller. But I got to go Shining. Is that cliche? Is that cheesy? I don't know.
No, can't see why not.
It's a classic.
Either that or Jason Takes Manhattan. So pick one or the other. They're both pretty good.
Well, except Jason Takes Manhattan is the title alone is a lie and the cover of it is a lie because it implies the title and the cover of Jason like doing this over the skyline. That makes you think, oh, Jason's taking over Manhattan, but no, he just gets off the boat, goes to Manhattan, offs a couple of criminals, a cop, and a sewer guy. Chasing after the kids. And
you remember when they leave in the beginning, the girl gives him a pen. She goes, "Stephen King used this in high school." Remember that at the beginning?
Yeah. I remember that. And so basically
I'm going to stick around. I want to hear everybody's answers. So I'm going to stick around and hear everybody's answers.
Yes. Okay. So my favorite horror film is definitely Alien, hands down.
Really? Why is that?
Classic.
I just love the cinematography in it. I love the suspense and let's see the characters. And also the several famous scenes, especially like the chestburster scene that nobody saw coming. Not even the actors and actresses on set. They didn't know it was going to happen. So
no shit.
So the reactions that you saw on there were real.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
that was copied in Spaceballs. Remember?
Oh yeah, same guy, John Hurt, and he was like, "Oh no, not again."
That's right. They didn't know that. No kidding. DJ's favorite one's Prom Night. That's got Jamie Lee. I think that's Jamie Lee's first movie, right?
No, it was after. That was after Halloween.
Okay.
Because Halloween was 1978. Prom Night was 2 years later,
that's
in 1980.
Right. That's a good flick too.
Got Spaceballs in my head now. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime girl.
Check, please.
So, as far as my
what did he have?
As far as my favorite horror movie, I'm
Yeah,
actually
discussion.
kind of in between two different films because I really am a huge fan of both of them. It's actually one is, and I'm sure obviously some of you guys have probably seen my post on understandably. One of them is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, the movie. Fantastic film because
Yeah,
as
the
a
book as
fan
a
of
kid, yeah.
as a fan of those books and also now officially a show like a character of it, the Scary Stories host, I just love that movie.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
still waiting for the sequel
Sounds
even
familiar.
after all these years. But also the other movie, which is even more horrifying, is this was about a decade ago, is Sinister. If you guys remember that one, I saw that movie. I saw that in theaters, and I'll never forget how terrifying. I mean, it was I was so scared. I have not felt that since. And long story short, we saw it. It must have been probably been a couple nights before Halloween. I was like 19 years old, and we saw it during the week. So when you see it during the week, there's less people there, and we saw it at an 11 o'clock showing, and there was like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 people other than me and my friend at the time out of that entire theater. And I have never been so scared. I mean, it's very eerie to watch 16 millimeter films running and you see these horrific murders, no sound, just what you're seeing. And it's horrible.
Wow.
Classic.
Yeah.
Sinister's a
Another
good
one for me to watch.
Oh yeah. Nikki, I promise you, if you're going to see this one, it is disturbing, but I'm telling you that it's one that doesn't disappoint because it scared the hell out of me.
What about you, Joe?
I don't know. There's just too many good ones, but the one that kind of freaked me out the most, and when I watched it, was, and I don't know if you'd consider it a horror movie, but I do. I kind of classify it that way, but it's called Videodrome.
Videodrome, David Cronenberg.
Yep.
Yes.
That movie.
That's a Cronenberg
Well,
movie.
it came out, I was watching it when I
James
first watched it. The thing was, I was working in video stores, okay, managing them. And I decided that one night, because it was like middle of the week, rentals are slow, business is slow, but you got to stay open because your boss says so. But I put the movie in, so I was watching the movie on VHS.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
The best.
Donald just watched it. Wow.
The best.
Not to mention probably the lack of sleep because I had been working my ass off and that was a double shift that day.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that movie really like freaked me out.
That is considered a horror film, believe it or not. So you're actually all right about that.
Well, it's also considered a cult classic too now.
It is. It's creepy because it shows you in a way how the media controls you and how us watching TV controls our perception of the world. And David Cronenberg really captures it correctly.
That was the one with James Woods. That's right.
Yeah, with James Woods.
Not to mention, you shouldn't really be hacking into things if you're not so sure what you're hacking into.
Oh.
Because he was hacking into that television network that got the control. That movie. That one just freaks me out.
Almost reminds me of They Live with Roddy Piper.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Obey! That a fucking
I'm here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. Unfortunately, I'm all out of bubble gum.
Love that line.
That line was improvised too.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Roddy Piper's greatest movie.
Yeah. What about you, Nikki? What is your favorite? Did we ask you what your favorite horror film was?
I don't think we have yet.
No.
Not yet.
She's a newbie though.
Probably,
2021, right?
Probably
two? Okay.
Chucky. I don't do dolls, so Chucky is a big one for me.
Child Play?
I had one of those dolls.
No.
I was just gonna say, when I worked in the video store, I had one of those. Somebody stole it out of my car.
Nice. I like you played them.
I gotta grow up at some point, right? I don't know.
Yeah, don't do dolls. Chucky and also the true story of Kathleen Knight.
Yeah,
You
you were
watch
going to
that.
mention about that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you mentioned yes.
Well, Chucky's based on a true story. Robert the Doll, a haunted doll in Florida.
he is.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Dirty
shit.
dolls.
I mean, I sleep with him at night when my girlfriend's not with me. I hold Chucky in my room.
There are a
I don't
lot
give
of
a
horror
fuck.
movies
Oh,
that
I
are
go to
based
bed with
on.
Janet Jameson and Chucky.
oh,
But
There's a lot of horror movies that are based on true stories. Like even Return of the Living Dead. In the beginning, it says based on a
Yeah.
true story.
Yeah,
The true
I've
story
read
was that
the Living
they
Dead.
put electric energy into a dead body and it moved, and they made the movie.
Yeah.
You know, that-
It's
Yeah.
They just checked out Frankenstein and we're like, okay, we gotta try that.
yeah, why not?
Just
you
look
know?
at how many of those characters in some of those movies are based off of somebody in real life.
Oh,
Like
right.
Ed Gein, for example.
Right.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Just
rights
lost.
to Santeria.
He said there's a storm that's coming into Australia, so
Oh.
that's why she's having connection issues. She
Yeah.
messaged me personally on it.
Oh, gotcha.
And Ed Gein was the basis of a bunch of characters.
That's right.
Right.
Oh,
James
you talked to
Franco,
Joe because he
yeah.
lives in Madison.
yeah, three of the biggest names.
No, we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I'm in Wisconsin, and we were just up in that area last weekend. In
Plainsfield.
Yeah,
Plainsville. Yes.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, Ed Gein.
We were just up in that area last weekend, but we
Bucket
didn't
list.
stop through there. We were going to a wedding, but you know.
And so yeah, I wanted to get back to hang on.
What
Fuck,
about
my
Death
laptop's
Ship
gonna
from
die.
1980? Do you know this movie, Don?
I know of it, I just haven't seen it. But anyway, I wanted to get back to this right here. Let's see. Some of the other cast in this in Friday the 13th were let's see, Laurie Bartram, who played Brenda in this. Brenda was kind of an interesting character. Like it's
My
here.
laptop's gonna die. I think, guys. Have a good one, guys. I think it's gonna die.
Okay, yeah.
All right, later,
thanks for
man.
coming on.
So yeah, Brenda like came off as this like pretty interesting character. She came off as like someone who was like specializing in being a nutritionist because of some of the dialogue she's had in the film, like talking about what vitamin C does, and talking about not wanting to eat dead animals, like not wanting to eat meats, but yeah, like
she was a vegetarian.
right, pretty much. And I feel, and also I should mention the actress who played her, Laurie Bartram, had passed away in 2007 from pancreatic cancer.
Oh,
wow.
really?
Yeah, I just looked this up a few weeks ago.
So it wasn't Jason.
And Donald R. Martin mentions Kevin Bacon. Yeah, this is like my second favorite horror film that he was in. My number one favorite horror film that Kevin Bacon was in, Tremors.
Of course.
Yes. Third favorite was Hollow Man. And it's crazy. It's crazy. He was starring in a horror film like every 10 years. First it was Friday 13th in 1980, Tremors in 1990, and Hollow Man in 2000.
Oh, wow.
Isn't he in some new like television series that recently came out, or some movie like it was like it took place like in a camping zone or something like that?
I think so, yeah. But I will say this: like I want to tell you about one of the creepiest characters in Friday the 13th, and it's not the killer herself. It's not Mrs. Voorhees. It's Steve Christie, because because of the way he talks to and the way he was talking to Alice in this when she was like working on fixing the place up and talking to her about no, you should just stay and help to get the place ready. And then right after she agrees, he like creepily strokes her hair.
Yeah.
Like what the hell is that?
Either they were just trying to like cast someone who was supposed to be like an older teenager, which really didn't look like that,
Yeah.
or I don't even want to say it.
Well, back in the 80s, that was a thing, casting people who were like 25 and older to be teenagers. You know,
Yeah.
Hey,
You
in the
saw,
fifth,
that in a lot of, you saw it in a lot of those type of
They did
80s slasher films.
They did a
Yeah.
pretty good job because they did it on a pretty low budget compared to most of the movies today, and
Yeah.
they made one hell of a profit globally.
Yeah.
and everybody
Yeah,
was
right, Lauren.
and everybody was talking about it, saying that he was like, you know, Steve was like gone for like the majority of the film, and I'm just thinking this guy he said he was going out to lunch and just leaving the counselors to try to get the place ready as best they can. This guy must take the longest lunch break in history.
No
he was like on for roughly around noon up until like nighttime when it was like raining outside. I'm just like,
Oh yeah, they had time to do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to remember too. I mean, like taking place in a relatively rural area, it probably would have. Obviously you didn't see very many cars going through, so obviously transportation to going back and forth was not easy, especially once your car breaks down. I mean, it's just that was a relatively rural area. He won't come home to his wife.
yeah.
But your car breaking down is the number one thing you don't want happening if you're in a horror film.
Especially out in the woods.
Yeah. Also, speaking of
Yep.
cars, why I can never figure this out. Why does Steve's car, his Jeep, why is it the exact same vehicle as Mrs. Voorhees' Jeep? That's
Probably stolen.
Actually, I always had the theory that maybe she did something to this Jeep while he was at the diner so that he'd have to leave it, and then she fixed it.
But
and there she got her set of wheels.
Good idea.
Yeah, but well, yeah, but the thing is, he had the same Jeep. The killer had the same Jeep when he was giving a ride to Annie. Like when picking her up and then driving past Camp Crystal Lake, and she leaps out. But it's that same car, so yeah, I don't get it.
That's weird. Like in all the different movies where they actually featured Crystal Lake, was it ever the same place twice from movie to movie?
No, not really. Like the second movie takes place at like a counselor training center. I doubt that's even a real thing. Right. So it takes place like on the same lake as Camp Crystal Lake, but it's like on a different part of it. So it's not like on the original site of the film of the first movie. But yeah, like it. And also, let's see, third film, it takes place on a little, like kind of like a summer house, a lake house, or resort where a bunch of people are partying. The fourth one takes place on another lake house. Like seriously, they go like all over the place.
The third one was with Corey Feldman, right?
No, that's the fourth one.
The fourth one, okay.
Oh, very quickly. Good night, Lauren. Thanks for tuning in as always.
Good night, Lauren.
I'll probably see you tomorrow on my show. So, but thanks for tuning in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let's see. What was I going to say? While
you're doing that, Donald also brings up saying, plus with all the scenes in movies, Crystal Lake must have been huge.
That's my guess. Yeah, with all the different scenes, and the only part of Friday the 13th that I did not like is the fact that the snake scene, where the cat where everybody's like going after that snake. Kevin Bacon's jumping on the bed saying, "I'll flush it out," breaks the bed, and then the snake comes out. And then Bill, he hacks away at the snake, an actual snake. It wasn't fake.
That was an actual snake?
Yeah, it was an actual snake.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That poor snake.
Yeah, I felt sorry for that. It's like, but it's still not as bad as Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah. That movie.
Nikki, Cannibal Holocaust was a Italian found footage horror film where one of the most controversial films of all time because they actually killed animals making it. Like,
it's not a movie for everyone.
Yeah,
it's
like
really
Faces of Death.
Yeah, on screen they actually killed animals. Like I'm talking like cut a little a rodent, I don't know what that thing was, cutting its throat, hacking
a muskrat, I think.
Hacking a turtle apart, cutting a monkey's face off.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I've had to watch it. Yeah.
It does exist. That movie was banned from several theaters.
Yeah, I had to watch that film when I was at WKU, Western Kentucky University, for film school. We had to watch that film in a late night screening. I could not eat for 2 straight days after seeing that.
Yeah.
He was totally put off of his monkey brains. He could not eat them.
That's from Faces of Death.
I know.
Out of all the things
I have that, like all 5 or 6 of those movies on VHS.
But only the first one was real.
They're still all shrink wrap.
Well, out of all the movies that I have seen, Cannibal Holocaust is the only one I felt the need to repress. That movie kept making me nauseous just from thinking about it.
It's one of those few movies that, and Don, I think you've even told me this, that we won't even talk about even on the show. I mean, we'll make references about it, but not do like an actual episode, right? If I'm correct.
Right. And one of my classmates after the movie was over, when we walked out, one of my classmates said, "Yeah, great movie, huh, Don?" And I'm like, "No, and let's never screen that ever again."
Yeah. The only thing that makes that movie popular was it is true. It is the first movie that dealt with the found footage genre, and it even actually had some inspiration to the movie Blair Witch Project, almost 20 years later. But aside from that, it's a horrific film, but it was considered the first found footage type movie.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm good.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Yeah,
I definitely, speaking of Blair Witch, I probably mentioned this before on here. I definitely do want to do a filming location video of the Blair Witch, because it's not far from where my girlfriend used to live in Maryland.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
It's probably about 40 minutes away from where she used to live. And before she moved out of there, my intention was to do a video there. It just never happened. But and those little whatever you want to call them, those little structures they made that were hanging in the trees and stuff, a lot of them are still there.
Oh, really?
To this day, they're still hanging in the trees and stuff.
So they never gathered them.
No, they're just still hanging there.
Can you imagine if you basically walked into those woods,
Well,
if you haven't seen Blair Witch, just imagine walking into, it's like an overcast, cloudy day, and it's quiet, and you look around, you see these figures in the tree, like, what the hell is this?
And then you happen across a movie.
Kind of shrine.
That movie came to be because of a Blockbuster contest.
Huh.
A Blockbuster video contest.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Remember
It's-
Blockbuster?
Yeah, submitted your own home movie. You know, amateur people make your own movie, send it in, and if you win, we'll put it out there and distribute it for you.
That was probably one of the most lowest budget films. It
was.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, outside of Evil Dead,
they didn't even have
Yeah.
professional equipment.
Yeah, it was just like a simple video camera that they
Right. Exactly.
Yep. And
I mean, it literally looked like a simple student film.
It was.
Yeah.
and they promoted it as if it was real when they
Right.
did the,
Well,
the
that was
promotion
all-
campaign was awesome. It was
Well, that
whoever thought
that
it
was
up.
the whole idea behind the contest.
There was.
If you won the contest, and they
Yeah.
won the contest.
Yeah.
That's
And,
amazing.
Yeah, it is. So wanted to get back
I
to
only know that because I was in the video industry at the time.
Oh yeah. And so I wanted to get back to you guys were mentioning before that famous sound that plays throughout the film, that
Yeah.
That's
Of
my
course, you
favorite.
can't forget
I
that.
love that sound.
Yeah, that was actually created by Harry Fredini, who did the music for this film. And the common misconception of it is that it's not, when he had that sound originally recorded, it wasn't it wasn't like that. It was actually
Yep.
it was
Yeah.
kill.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he said
yeah, it's basically that sound is actually meant to reference Jason telling his mother to kill Ma.
well, and also too, what was his name, Don? I just already forgot. What was his name?
Harry Fredini.
Yeah, so he's actually explained in interviews how that sound effect even worked, was that, like you said exactly. And at one point he had tested, I think he was testing it out on a microphone in a way. And
wow.
while he was trying it out, and when he whispered, it made this echo on the speaker from the microphone. And so he thought to himself saying, wow, that actually sounds kind of creepy. So he basically used the beginning of those words, and when it echoed, you heard that.
Oh, wow.
So that's how the effect was made.
Yep.
Now, Nick,
I've
you
heard
may
so much
remember the guy that we were associated with for quite a while, Otis.
Yeah, Otis.
Now, on his show, he actually had the guy that played Jason, Ari, what's his name?
Ari Lemon. I think that's yeah.
Like he actually had him on his show. So if you wanted to reach out to Otis, if you're still friends with him on Facebook, he might have a connection to maybe you guys could have him on a show sometime.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
He's a character, I'll tell you that. He's a good person to have on. I mean, it's entertaining, most definitely.
Well, you know, someone else who's got somehow she's got a connection too is, and I actually originally invited her onto the show earlier tonight, which was Rosie. She had a show with Ari Lemon like about a year or so ago. So I don't know how they were able to reach out to him, but she had him on his show too. So possibly
He's got a Facebook.
Also possibly Rosie, they might be able to reach out to him. And yeah, Don, maybe we could eventually have him on the show.
Oh, for sure.
If you look hard enough, you can find ways around their agents.
Well,
yeah, it's true.
I'm a good example of that. I mean, as people have seen before, and Nick and Don know, on a show that me and my friend Dom do, Dom and Tom's World, we had Betsy Baker and Teresa Tilley from The Evil Dead on our show.
Oh.
That's right.
So I got to talk to them twice, which made me so happy. And it was on like my birthday week too, the last time we talked. So that made that extra special.
Yeah. So yeah, that's great.
We actually got Betsy Baker to do the laugh too.
Yeah.
I was so proud of.
Awesome clip.
That
was awesome.
Yeah. And I wanted to go back to mention there was like I remember like Friday the 13th, like there was like the one kill that I felt like was like kind of nonsense was Bill, you know, where he was like pinned to the door by the arrows. I'm like, so a whole bunch of arrows are able to hold a grown man onto the door. I'm like, that seems silly when you think about it.
I think in every one of the Friday the 13th movie, there was like one kill that was just like, what?
Well, and that's typical, like with what you see with a lot of those slasher movies that were made in the 80s, the early to mid 80s. There was always that one that just kind of seemed, you know, not too crazy about, but it's to kind of give that kind of tongue-in-cheek reference. I mean, even if they weren't meant to be comedy, it was basically just like a simple effect, for lack of a better term, that you saw in a lot of those movies. Probably that they just played for humor.
Yeah,
right.
But then we find that Alice is left, and first thing she runs to a cabin, closes the blinds, and like does a pretty goofy way job of barricading a door, takes a rope and ties it, and then throws just random items in front of the door. I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure like anybody would be able to get through that.
It wasn't really. She wasn't prepared.
No, it's like then everything calms down, and then Brenda's body comes through the window.
Yep.
Oh man, and and then we finally meet Mrs. Voorhees, who just seems a little odd at first, and I'm just thinking, that should be a red flag for you, Alice. Oh,
it's like we just lost Joe.
Oh,
probably
everybody got bigger.
Back on.
Yeah, everybody.
Oh wait, you know what? Actually no. Don, I just saw he privately messaged. He had to leave. He's feeling a little sick.
Oh, he is? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hope he's feeling better.
Hope you feel better, Joe.
Well, now that we're all bigger, you can actually now see my little sign above my head.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's awesome.
My sister's stepson and his wife made that for me.
That's awesome.
There's no apostrophe to it, right?
Well, there is right there. Yeah. But not down here. No. No punctuation, no spaces, no. This is Tom's World.
Nice. Yeah.
They even got the logo in there, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So when Pamela's finally on the scene, like she was acting like odd, saying, "Oh, I'm not afraid," you know. They're like saying, "Oh," like when Alice says, "Oh, she'll kill you. He'll kill you too." But it's like when this random person shows up and is acting odd, that should probably be a red flag for you, Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then she tells the story of how Jason drowned. Jason was her son, and the counselors let him drown, and they're responsible, and they must pay, and then that means you must die too. So goes after Alice, like all kinds of different chase scenes. Yeah, breaking down a door with an axe. Yeah, what does that remind you of?
Yeah. Here's Johnny.
Well, you know, here's what's. Oh, sorry, we're gonna say something, Nikki.
Not so good. You go.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, it's interesting that the actress who played her, Betsy Palmer, she was, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the interviews, but she was actually kind of skeptical of her role of being Mrs. Voorhees. She has said this in almost every interview before she passed away back in 2015. But she had said that when she had gotten the script for this movie, she thought it was all a bunch of dread, and it's never going to be seen. Of course, she was proven completely wrong when it came out.
Yeah.
I've come to find out that, like, apparently at the conventions and stuff like that, she wasn't very tolerant.
Yeah.
of
Tom,
people.
hold on one second. Nikki, I just saw your message. Okay, so you're gonna head out then?
Yeah, it's gonna drop out again.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
Nikki, it was awesome having you
Nothing
on.
up the
So
internet.
we'll
great
talk again
having
real
you.
soon.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Will be
Yeah.
better time, so
Take care.
take care. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Sorry, Tom. You were saying?
At the convention stuff like that, apparently she wasn't very tolerant of people. She was very I don't want to say mean, but she wasn't nice. Like if
really?
somebody happened to be taking a picture and she's in the background, she would like flip out about it. And I've heard stories about that.
Wow. Because I've only seen her in interviews, so I've never really had seen her like, other than her character, I've never seen her with a, kind of negative side to her.
No, it was just at conventions apparently.
Listen,
Like she would just get real specific, like I can't be in a picture because you're supposed to be paying for my picture and blah blah. And like
Yeah, there's some of those people out there who think that they can make money off of
it's
just
like
getting
really how much money are you making on each picture? I mean, if you're in the background and they're not taking a picture of you and you just happen to be there, who cares?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like when we go to horror film cons, the one thing that really irritates, I mean, I understand, but at the same time, it irritates me. Like you have to pay to get someone's picture. I understand if it was like getting a signature or an autograph,
Yeah,
but just to get a picture with someone,
no,
that
that's
seems
stupid.
a little over the top.
I mean, I am by no means a celebrity of any kind, but I have willingly taken pictures with people in the garden that I was working on at one point. Like people would come and be like, "Hey man, can I get a picture with you?" I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, it happened only like twice, but still, it wasn't like I was like, "No, you got to give me $5."
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna make a quick example. Like I actually got to have the pleasure of getting a free picture instead of paying for this. This was again over a decade ago at a flashback weekend. We had Stephen Ewan, Glenn from The Walking Dead, at this con. He was at that time though. This was like only when Walking Dead was only like on its third season, so like it wasn't as hugely. I mean, it was starting to, but it wasn't hugely popular to the point where they had all these cons of their own. And we came up, and my dad's with me. I was like saying, that is right, Dad. And I was like, that's Stephen Ewan. He's in The Walking Dead. And we go up. He has no line, surprisingly, like he would a couple years later. So we go up, and the guards stop it. And we were hopefully wanting to get a picture, but the guards stopped us. They're like, "No, you can't come over here until you pay for this. You want to get a picture, you got to pay whatever the hell it was." But then Stephen Ewan, he's like, "Oh, no, come on over here. It's fine." And I got a free picture with him. So what I can tell you right now, because I've met some of the actors of Walking Dead, obviously one of them, Tom, as we know, Santiago, whose birthday is today.
I was just going to mention that.
Yep, Santiago, if you're watching, happy hiya birthday.
Santiago Cirillo.
So I can tell you right now, I mean, the actors I met from the show.
And how long ago was that picture that you got with him?
That was, it's surprising. That was taken back in 2017 at SoulCon.
And who would have thought that both of you would be part of the BB3 TV network?
I know. It's like, how on earth did that happen?
That's all thanks to Dom. He brought Santiago in. So
yeah. When I saw that he was going to be part of BB3, I was really excited because I mean he's a very good. I mean he's a great friend to everybody, but he's also been a very good friend of mine. And I, like you said, I never thought in my wildest dreams, like when I look at that picture from 2017, that we were going to be on the same network. And that's just a
lot of times when he's doing his motivational live feeds and stuff like that, if I happen to pop in, I'll be like, "Tom Nelly, what's going on?"
Nice. So But yeah, I mean, from what I could tell you though, like meeting him or anyone involved in The Walking Dead, they're very nice guys. So Steven, that was really nice of him that he got to let me get a free picture with them, so I didn't have to pay for it. In Steven's case, I don't think he cared about the money. I think he liked taking pictures with people, then making money over it.
To this day, I have still not watched the last part of the last season, like where they took the break and then they came back. And then the show ended. I still have not watched it. I know what happened.
I
don't have to watch it.
I haven't watched it for the last couple of years. I mean, last one that I saw was when Carl was shot.
Damn.
You know, like when he evacuated. That was the last one I ever saw.
That was ages ago.
Yeah, I know. It's because again, it was right around that time when again I was really starting to get involved with all these, these shows and other projects and stuff like that. And it's not that I lost interest over it. Just life, man. I mean, things just took over for me, and I didn't really have as much time to really watch as much television as I used to.
I know in the last episode, at the end, they finally showed Rick. He was like on a beach, and there was like a body of water in front of him, and they superimposed stuff to make it look like he was somewhere he wasn't. But he was supposed to be in Jersey, looking across the Delaware River at Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
And then a helicopter came in, like saying, "Come on, Rick, just give up," and blah blah. But and when I was watching it, and of course they make Philadelphia look a little decayed and stuff like that because it's The Walking Dead.
Right.
It's been a while.
Well, it takes place in Philadelphia eventually.
Or across the Delaware River in Jersey, because like he's on a beach and he's looking across the Delaware River from Jersey into Philly, and I'm looking at him like, man, that really looks like the Philly skyline.
Yeah, because I remember, like, obviously when they first started the shows in Georgia, then it moved to Virginia. I didn't know they continued moving up.
Well, Rick did.
Rick
eventually became part of one of the main three communities, like that symbol they had with the three circles, the three big community. He was part of one of them, and that's going to be the movies that they're supposed to be making. I don't know when the hell they're going to come out, but
I didn't know they were going to make movies.
Yeah, they were going to make a whole series of movies with Rick Grimes telling what happened after he got taken away in the helicopter, which you wouldn't know because you didn't see that. But he got taken away in a helicopter. So
yeah,
guys,
Nick, what's up?
Not to change the subject for a sec. Nikki just messaged me. This must have happened minutes ago. Not her. She's completely fine. Just want to be clear, but there was a car crash that occurred right outside. I think it was right outside her house. She told me that the area that she lives in, it's kind of close to the main road, like where most people cross by, and she told me it's been quite common to see accidents like this, and this just literally happened, and two cars must have gotten into it. I mean, it's bad. So, I mean, I'm glad she's okay, but I hope those people that got in this car crash are okay.
Yeah,
my girlfriend's mom and her aunt just recently got into a serious car accident.
Oh, really?
They've been going through a lot in the last week and a half. It was a dump truck that didn't have its bucket all the way down, and they went under an overpass, and the bucket caught the lip of the overpass, and the bucket came off of the dump truck and landed on their car.
Whoa.
Totaled the car. Her mom has broken ribs, a cracked sternum. Her aunt has 2 broken femurs, 2 broken knees, broken wrists. She broke the bone around the orbital of her eye and one of her vertebrae. I mean, it's been a week, a week and a half for them. But everybody's doing better so far. So lots of surgeries for her aunt though.
Yeah.
So I can understand how much an accident can affect somebody.
Well, and Tom, very quickly, and actually, Don, you know this too, is last year I was in a car accident myself. And that was, even though it wasn't as majorly destructive, it was still terrifying because I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought I was gonna die.
God.
I mean, I walked out obviously completely unharmed, but either way, whether you're unharmed, or whether you get hurt or not, going through something like that, it's not pretty.
Yeah,
Not pretty.
it's not fun.
Yeah.
I've been in a car that got totaled.
Oh yeah. And
not fun.
let's see. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the I wanted to mention now the associate producer for Friday the 13th. What was it? Steve Miner. He went on to direct the second and third film.
Really?
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, Steve Miner.
Wow.
Yeah, he directed those. And then he went on to direct other horror films as well. Like he directed Halloween H2O. He directed Lake Placid. And so he's done some pretty good work. Some fairly decent work, yeah. And
Wow.
like it's crazy how Friday the 13th, like when it started off in the 80s, and then then the mid 80s we had Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which sort of became like somewhat of a box rival, between this franchise. But
favorite.
yeah, but the thing is, Sean S. Cunningham and Wes Craven, they actually were good friends.
And they also previously worked together on one film almost a decade earlier, which is even more brutal, obviously. And that's undoubtedly The Last House on the Left. They worked. Wes Craven directed it, and Sean S. Cunningham produced it. And that actually gave Sean S. Cunningham the inspiration to make Friday the 13th. Because very similar situation. It takes place out in a wooded area, although nothing what you see in Last House on the Left is I mean, they still continue like with the gruesome murders, but they don't carry on with like the torture, rapes, all that other gruesome stuff. So and that movie actually kind of even represented the days of the violence you saw on television of Vietnam, which was still ongoing at the time.
Yeah, and I'm more of a fan of the 2009 remake. I feel like that had a more satisfying ending.
Well, Joe earlier said he thought the remake sucked.
Well, that's often the case though with remakes or reboots.
And it's crazy how the girl's dad is played by the man who voiced Tarzan in Disney's Tarzan.
Really?
Yeah, Tony Goldwyn. That's his name.
Weren't you just talking about him the other day when you were playing the?
Yeah, I did. when I was playing Kingdom Hearts. Yeah. Matter of fact, I was just playing earlier today. And he was also killed by Jason too in part 6. He played a that couple that stopped in the middle of the road because Jason was in the road with that pole.
It was like a spear, I think.
Remember that? There, the guy who got out of the car to confront Jason with a handgun and got impaled and thrown over. That was him.
Jason killed Tarzan.
Jason killed Tarzan.
He killed Tarzan. Oh yeah, he killed him.
Oh,
it's obvious. But one other thing I should bring up about Friday the 13th. It's also worth bringing this up, but it's just it's actually an interesting fact. I should have said it, when we had the others on, but it's like when Halloween, when Friday the 13th came out during the summer of 1980, at that time, Halloween kind of really overtook the throne, already took the throne of horror movies. But Halloween, though, as great of a movie as it was completely the opposite. I mean, it was, still obviously to this day a cult classic, but unlike Friday the 13th, it wasn't bloody, it wasn't gory. So when they made Friday the 13th, the idea was to make it as violent as possible. Kind of make it like this. You can kind of almost say it like this kind of anti-Halloween film, like what you would have seen in Halloween. This is what they're going to be doing in this movie instead.
Yeah. And
it's a shame there was never a crossover with them. I mean, thank God we at least got the crossover of Freddy and Jason.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the ending where the parents didn't end up losing their daughter, and the son of Krug turned good, so there was that. But speaking of the actor who played Jesse in Breaking Bad is in that film as well. He played
really?
Yeah,
really?
He played one of the bad guys. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Must have been pretty young.
He was the one who remember when he had his hand in the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
That was him.
Huh. Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, and I've never even watched Breaking Bad, and somehow I knew that.
I'm currently for the first time watching that with Stephanie. We had a little trade-off. We decided this. She said, "All right, So we'll watch a show that you like, and then we'll watch a show that I like. So I made her watch Sons of Anarchy, beginning to end. She was not happy with it for the last half of it. She hated everybody on it. But then she started making me watch Breaking Bad. At this point, we're almost on season 3. And it's actually not bad. I've never watched it before.
Don, didn't you say you used to watch? Have you watched? I know you watched Breaking Bad, but didn't you also watch Sons of Anarchy too? Or
I didn't yet. There were tons of shows that I have watched.
Sons is good,
but I just haven't seen that one yet. I mean, I want to see it because Ron Perlman is.
I was just about to say, as someone who's being a fan of Ron Perlman, I would expect you would have watched that show.
Yeah, because that show has Ron Perlman, who's a national treasure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you'll recognize a lot of other people in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's people from Deadwood in there. If you ever watch Deadwood at all, there's other people that you'll just recognize from playing bit parts in other movies. The one Scottish guy on there, he was in Sin City. The guy with the scars on his face. Tommy something. I only remember his first name for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'll be sure to look.
Tommy Flanagan. Is that Tommy Flanagan? I think.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention. As you know, Tom. Oh wait, actually, I forgot to show you this, Tom. I showed everybody this in the beginning. Here, take a look at what I've got off Amazon.
That's awesome.
That's very cool.
And I also had this earlier because Adam, he was wearing his, and I decided to wear this, of course, as well. So
now you look like H2O Delirious.
Yeah, well, and you know what's actually really cool is these masks that they made. I should have explained this earlier. These masks, they make these masks used to be really expensive to purchase. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. These used to be like about $200 to purchase, especially if you're gonna get one like in mint condition. And I'm actually kind of glad I waited over a couple of years because someone once did tell me that when it comes to such stuff like this, eventually those prices are going to go down. They'll eventually, like when they become more common. So it took a number of years, and I'm glad I think it took about 10 years, in fact. So honestly, as long as it took, I'm glad I waited because I was able to purchase this for a much, much cheaper price. I mean, this I must have paid for about, I don't know what the price is like now because I got this a couple years ago. This was about $50, really. I mean, again, like with what I said with the animatronic, I'd rather pay $50 for something like this than $200 as far as I'm concerned.
And now you got to get the mask of what Jason looked like under the mask to wear that, and then put the hockey mask over it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that you can take, you know what I mean?
Well, I still remember, and this is still on Friday the 13th, Don, is that I actually did dress up as Jason for Halloween back when I was in middle school. Oh. And what I wore, again, at that time, these masks were so expensive. I didn't have the money, obviously, for it at that time. So we had to use, obviously, a different hockey mask, understandably. But what I did, however, was I was able to get one of those ball caps. And I was able to, put it over my head. And I really resembled Jason's surprise.
Look, Jason, I'm just like you.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the amazing thing. You don't see this a lot very often because the rules have changed in school since. Back then, we were still allowed to wear Halloween masks and stuff. Now, you try doing that today, they don't allow you to wear masks anymore. Unless it's like a COVID mask, they do not let you wear any masks anymore at schools because, well, and again, it's obvious because again of all these shootings and violence that have occurred in schools. So this was back in the day when going to school was innocent. You could bring that kind of stuff. Now you can't. So
was more so when I went.
Yeah. What's that?
I said it was more so when I went. You got to remember, I got a few years on you,
Well, I believe it. So it's
I'm 48.
Yeah. Well, it was. I believe it, and we had more privileges. Now it's you can't even do that anymore. You can't even. Sometimes you can't even wear as much makeup on anymore, like for Halloween. So even if I was in school today and I tried to tell them wearing something like this, they'd tell me, "Hey, take that shit off right now."
You know what? You could get around it. You could say, "Listen, I identify as Jason." and you'd be able to get away with it.
Nice.
You know what?
No.
And also, as I always have to remind you, Tom, of course, if you wear some glasses, you could just say, I'm just also dressing up because I come from a van down by the river.
Yeah, but there you go.
Like Men in Black style.
No. So I wanted to mention the ending to this. So yeah, like Alice is being chased by Mrs. Voorhees, wants her dead, and then then one thing then knocks her out, and he knocks her out at first, but then just goes to the beach and just sits down. I'm just like, why would you do this? It's like, but then Mrs. Voorhees comes at her, and then they get in a scuffle, and then Alice finally gets the upper hand with the machete, and then cuts her head off. And thing is, I have the uncut version where that's actually extended.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, like the one what I have. This features the uncut version, which features like extended versions of the kills, such as Annie's throat being cut, like and then falling to the ground. And let's see, Kevin Bacon, like with that arrow through the neck, it shows like another shot where there's a lot more blood, and finally Mrs. Voorhees like an extended like having her head off and like doing this when her head is off, and then just slowly.
You know who that really is, though, right? Who's doing that? Do you know who that really is?
Who?
It's not Betsy Palmer doing that. Like that actually is Tom Savini wearing the prop over his head, because if you kind of look at like where the head is cut off, you see like the supposed bone in the center. You know what that really is, though, right? Those are actually toothpicks that they put in to represent like the bone structure being cut off. And if you look real carefully, like as Mrs. Voorhees' arms are raising up, if you actually look very carefully, especially clearly, you can actually see like hairs on the hands.
Oh yeah.
It's male hands. So
I noticed
that's actually Tom Savini doing that.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, that's Tom Savini.
I would love to interview him. I really.
Oh my God. I still see. Long story short, we had the opportunity of meeting Tom Savini at a Fangoria weekend of horrors back in Chicago in 2009. So this was a long time ago, and it was so crazy. It was like he was as big of a legend as he is. He was not one of those guys that had like a huge line. I mean, he was walking at one point. I didn't realize he was standing behind me, like walking.
Sex machine, man.
It's like I stopped. It was like, oh, excuse me, and I'm like, oh my God, that was Tom, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tom Savini.
He snuck up behind you.
He snuck up behind me, and he was there for the entire. And yes, Donald, you know what?
We all went to
go to Fangoria weekend. In fact, you know what?
He is sex machine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. From Dusk Till Dawn. I remember that one as well.
That's another good one.
I want one of those guns, by the way. Even if it's not real, I just want to be able to like just pop the belt buckle and just.
I know exactly what you mean by that.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to look for those pictures right now, speaking of which. So I know I have them. I know I have them somewhere.
Oh God. Yeah, but let's see. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. I feel like the machete plays a bigger role for Jason in later films than some people realize, because the machete is what killed his mother. So he's using the same kind of weapon that ended his mother's life, which is the motivation for his revenge, the death of his mother, using that same weapon on the majority of the people that he killed.
Which he didn't even really get that in the very beginning, like in the second one. I don't think he had. Did he have the machete in the second one? I don't think he did.
I mean, he used it once, but for the most part, he used different weapons. Of course, if you see like the public images of him, he actually most of the time used like a pitchfork.
Yeah,
like he was supposed to kind of represent. This is what I mentioned earlier, was he was supposed to kind of almost represent like the originally like the backwoods deformed farmer inbred type killer. You know, that's how they probably originally viewed him.
Like
before
the hills have eyes.
Yeah, like hills have eyes in a way. And you know what? I should have mentioned earlier. I think even that story about the melon heads. Actually, oh wait, I don't know if you were here about that. If you were,
I heard. I was hearing it before I came.
I think the story about melon heads actually inspired Hills Have Eyes, because same thing, cannibalistic, inbred group of people that prey on anybody that crosses. The only difference is compared to Hills Have Eyes and the Melonheads is that Hills of Ice takes place in the desert. Melonheads takes place in the woods.
Yeah. And so like Jason, like it's crazy how like the one main thing that Jason is known for is having the hockey mask, but he didn't even have that until the third film.
Yeah. In the second one, he just had like the little burlap.
It was like a pillowcase.
Pillowcase. Yeah. Yep. And I forgot what I was gonna say.
What the hell are those pictures? For some reason, I'm missing some of my pictures here. So I know I have them somewhere.
Yeah. So like animated, so like Jason doesn't talk now. So, and also the thing is about Jason is that I'm starting to think that maybe he didn't actually drown in Camp Crystal Lake. I think he just grew up in the wild and just built that shack, because they constantly say that throughout the series they claim that he had drowned, but yet they never found his body.
Right.
But in later films, he was underwater for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm thinking he
like chained to that boulder or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, that was in after part 6. Yeah, when he got chained to the boulder. But I'm talking about like before that, like right after he had gone underwater in the first film when he was alive as a kid. I'm thinking he like washed up on shore somewhere, somehow survived, and was just living out in the wild.
Well, because he had like regular looking hands and stuff like that. Like it wasn't like undead kind of look to it. Like it just had like flesh color. You know what I mean?
Right.
In the first few films or whatever, first couple films where he debuted, I should say, not including the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when he had the burlap sack on his head in the second one, like his hands just looked normal.
Right.
Was that Kane Hodder at that point?
No. He wouldn't have done it then.
The second film, it was actor named Warrington Gillette. I'm not sure if he's still alive today. Here, like I think one or two of the actors I have since died, or no longer with us right now. But Warren Gillette, I thought he did a great job with the role as well.
Yeah,
that was great. So
they all had a nice persona.
Yeah,
like it was like they continued it on. Like Jason always had that same. I don't know how to explain it, like persona, I guess.
Oh, here.
Like I said.
Here, Donald Martin says, if he was mentally challenged, he might not have understood about going home. That could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. And then apparently, like Pamela Voorhees was like the camp cook at the time when Jason had drowned. I think, and actually looked into the background. Apparently, she was like got pregnant with Jason when she was like 16.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. So I'm thinking. So yeah.
Or.
So it makes it kind of like a hypocritical of her, like to go after teens that are like basically, being teens, but when
she was jealous
when she was doing the same thing.
She was jealous. They were having sex and not getting pregnant, and that's what the problem was.
Oh my God.
They were smoking pot and having sex and drinking and
doing all the bad things we're not supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah, I was smart enough to avoid all that in high school because I've seen, we've had like probably about five or six girls that apparently did and end up like that in high school. But
I mean, I didn't avoid sex in high school. I'm just gonna say.
You're just, as you say, you're just saying.
I'm just saying.
The only thing that's just missing, by the way, is you never know. With how you just described it, Don, is that it may have all been in a van down by the river.
And you're not going to amount to jack squat.
Or how if the camp was closed. Or Jason probably didn't understand like if camp was closed. He probably he could have roamed around during the camp through the camp for the ruins of it when it was closed. So he could have been like living off whatever was there as well. Let's see. Yeah, like it's
when he was alive.
Yeah, back when he was still alive. Then before he became a revenant, starting with part 6.
And it's actually said, and not to continually go back to the Evil Dead, but it's actually said that Jason is actually a Deadite.
I remember hearing that.
Like there's a whole theory about that, and that's why the evolution was supposed to be like Jason versus Freddy, and then eventually Ash was supposed to come into the picture, and it was going to be Jason versus Freddy versus Ash. The script was written, it just was never filmed.
Right. That
Fan
would've been
films
awesome.
have been made.
Wasn't
about
Jason?
that.
Yeah, wasn't Jason supposed to have mental disabilities when he was a child? I believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
There was some indications of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was slow or whatever the terminology is that you want to put on that. But
Yeah, and Mrs. Voorhees kept saying like he was a special boy, things like that. So,
yep, my special boy.
Yeah,
Make them pay. Make them all pay.
exactly. Yeah, and there were like several inconsistencies that I noticed like throughout the series, like between parts 2 and 3. When Jason was unmasked in part 2, we noticed like he had some hair on him, right?
Yeah, very little, but
The third film, which takes place immediately after the events of part 2, it shows Jason like just briefly, like face hidden, but he's bald now.
Yeah.
Well, he decided to start shaving it to go for the Vin Diesel look, and
Yeah. So I saw that and I'm just thinking, wait, why does he have hair at the end of this film, but no hair at the beginning of this one when it takes place immediately after those events?
But you know what Donald just brought up, like saying for Freddy versus Jason, if you look carefully, Jason does grow back some of his hair in Freddy versus Jason, but by then it's kind of whitish.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's very thin. Very, very thin.
Like he's truly aged in a way.
Use a machete to shave his head.
Use the machete.
Yeah, that sounds easier said than done.
Machete.
You know what, Jeremy? You should have used the machete when you shaved your hair. You could have demonstrated that for us.
Here, let me show you.
Yeah, I was like, you could have demonstrated that for us, Jeremy, and then we would have watched, and we could have thought, Jeremy used the machete one time to shave his hair. I can see how Jason probably did the same thing.
Maybe that's.
I'll do that in 3 years.
Was Corey Feldman's character? Was that Tommy?
What's that?
Yes.
Yeah.
He did play Tommy Jarvis in the fourth film. Yes.
So it was Tommy. All right.
Yeah. But next week we're gonna work our way towards that. Like next week we're gonna cover part 2. Week after that 3. Week after that part 4, and so on. So
are you ever gonna cover the TV show?
I don't know. I never seen the TV show. It's like hard for me to find.
It is on some streaming services,
series.
but you have to pay for them.
Oh yeah,
because I was looking for it because I was at work like 2 weeks ago, and we had some channel, and I don't know what the hell it was, and they were showing it was on a Sunday. They were showing the night or the
Friday the 13th.
The Friday the 13th, the series, and I was like, oh my god. I forgot all about this show. I loved this show. I used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
So let me ask, because I think I might know what channel, because I did remember there was, I don't know if you remember, Don, but there was a channel that was showing, I don't know if it was just for the Halloween season or if they were just showing them on a regular basis at that time. Was it on MeTV?
No.
Okay,
that was like something like Fear or something.
FearNet?
Maybe.
FearNet.
Which sadly, doesn't exist anymore. So
no. This was just recently in the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, that got defunct ages ago.
Yeah, I know, and that was a real loss.
I'll have to find out because this Sunday, I'm sure at lunchtime, my boss will have that on again, and we'll probably be watching it. So I'll find out what the channel is.
Was it do you know if it was IFC? That's what Donald was asking.
No,
I don't think so.
No, it was something with a unique name.
Well, you see, for us, I mean, this was several years ago, though. So for some reason whatsoever, I think for a short time, MeTV was showing the Friday the 13th series again.
It was a great series.
Yeah, well,
even though it had nothing to do with Jason.
I was gonna say, even though it didn't have anything to do with Jason, I heard it's still.
It was
I still heard it was a pretty good show, but
the only annoying factor was the chick that was on the show. In the beginning, she had a British accent, but as it went on, it kind of phased out. It's like, wait, how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, but yeah, for MeTV was showing it for a short period. This was probably about 10 years ago now that I think about it, maybe even over 10 years ago. But I don't really remember if it was just on for the Halloween season or if it was just on for a short period. But they were playing the series for a short time.
Yeah, that was one of my go-to shows back then. I mean, I used to watch that and like Tales from the Dark Side and stuff like that.
I know
Like,
Tales from the Dark Side's been on.
They were
TV.
all great shows.
Oh yeah,
and we have nothing like that anymore.
Well, with the exception of when you think about it, like again, my scary stories I do, even though they're audio stories.
Oh wait, you have scary stories for audio? I didn't know about that.
No, I just honestly, just how I see it, even though they're audio stories, it's probably as close as you can really ever get.
Wait, was there one called The Shortcut? Because I remember hearing that, and some dude that sounded like really hot was reading it.
And Jeremy, since he's watching, wasn't there a story about called "I Hate Clowns"? Or I thought I did a story. I thought I heard of a story called "The Fly" or something like that. Oh my God, Donald! Scary stories when he met when I met Eileen Jones.
Oh man, but yeah. Hey guys, yeah, we're gonna have to end this in a little bit.
That's fine because I have to be up at like, well, it's 11:39 right now here, and I got to be up at like 5:30. So
yeah. Well, not only that, I plan on calling Nikki just to check up on what's going on with this accident. So I know over there out in Australia it's like the middle of the afternoon, so I'm gonna give her a quick call just to see what's going on over there. Jeremy just said
tomorrow.
You want a scary clown story? I'll write you one that makes Pennywise looks like Krusty.
No one can ever compare me to Krusty.
I can't do the voice. But yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, we're gonna end this here. So tune in, everybody. Be sure to tune in next week where we will be continuing the Friday the 13th franchise with Friday the 13th Part 2, where we first see Jason going on a murder spree, and yeah, we are so looking forward to that.
Can you say that quick? I gotta hear this too. What Jeremy just said. He's like, can you say they all float down here in Krusty's voice? Go,
oh God,
go, go.
They all float down here. Come on, Bart.
Okay. That actually was pretty accurate. Yeah, you can join us next week, Donald.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And also too, just before we get off, as far as the other shows for me, of course, I'm back on here tomorrow with more of Nick Files. I got more places. We're going to continue on with Part 4 of Athens, Ohio. Like I've said before, a lot of people are probably wondering, why am I sticking to this location? It's because for the first time ever, I'm actually covering an entire historic and haunted town. We're going through like multiple, it may be the same area, which is going to be going on for a couple weeks, but we're focusing on multiple different locations. So it's not necessarily one place, but it's several places.
Plus, and a lot of freaky stuff happens in Ohio.
Oh yeah, well, and even after I'm done with Athens, I'm not even done with Ohio yet, because just right near Athens is the town of Marietta, Ohio, and that is the oldest town in the entire state. So again, another place. So we're gonna be kind of in Ohio for a number of weeks, but yeah, we'll be continuing on with that tomorrow. In fact, one of the slideshows I'm actually going to reuse because I actually found more information I think was really necessary to present. And then Thursday to the grave and back with me, Lois, and Rosie. We're going to be talking about I can't remember what we were going to be talking about, but it was going to be an interesting topic either way. Right. Then later that night on Supernatural Talk, if you guys didn't know, it is this show's 1-year anniversary. So we're, Jeremy, we at one point talked about maybe doing like a video montage, but I'm not really sure if we're really going to have a lot of time putting that together. But either way, we're going to celebrate our 1-year anniversary. And then finally on Friday on the Frighteners, we have I think we have someone coming on.
Frighteners. Wasn't that Michael J. Fox?
No, it's another show that I do. It's actually on both Things Network and Simply Spooky Network. That's with me, Lois, Rosie, and me, Lois, Ian, and Bry. It's a UK show, in other words. So I think we have a guest coming on that one. So either way, we got a lot coming up. So that's what's going to be happening over the next couple of days. Yeah, as Jeremy just said, he doesn't have time to do the montage. He's just been so busy.
Wow. Well, yeah, like Tom.
Night, Donald.
Yeah. Good night, Donald. And yeah, see you next week on here, Donald. And Tom, love to have you back on here for next week.
Cool.
Okay,
I'm around.
Just before we go, let's just be honest. This was a fun episode tonight, right? With having all these guys on.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Gotta get 9 people on here all together and do like a Brady
Bunch.
Bunch.
Gonna be like 9 would be super chaotic. Oh my god.
Well,
I know.
Yeah, but sometimes the more the
I've
merrier.
I've done it.
Oh my god.
I've been on it.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be like talking over each other. It would be a mess.
Well, even with 6, we didn't really have that much talking over. So although Jeremy said he'll be on for 8 and X.
Oh, okay. And yeah, Tom, I was mentioning this earlier. Friday the 13th Part 8, the title and the poster for it is basically one big lie because it implies that Jason had completely taken over Manhattan, but all he did was chase around and kill a few people, and that's it. He doesn't.
Yeah, he just did his normal shtick, just in a different place.
Yeah, he didn't take control of the city. So
no, he didn't.
So yeah, we've been lied to.
It wasn't like the one where they were in space and he took over the shuttle.
Yeah, Jason X.
Like, he wasn't driving the shuttle by any means, so he didn't really take over it. But
I'm not gonna lie to you guys about this. I'm just gonna say this right now, as Tom, as you would say, I'm just saying. But Friday the 13th Part 8 is the only one on the entire franchise I have not seen.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I think I've
just
seen them
saying.
all.
I'm bringing this over to you right now.
Well, first off, before we see that, and let me know if you're still going this, Don, is that we're hoping to go see Renfield tomorrow night.
Hopefully. If it depends on I may stay late for work though. That's the thing. I was told
we'll find out. We'll see how you are.
We'll see what happens.
Have you seen it yet, Tom? I gotta ask.
I have not yet seen it, but every time I hear it, I just go back to the old Renfield from the old Dracula movies, the black and white one, the
from this.
But yeah,
1931.
Yeah.
Don and I have been making a joke about this, but the actor who plays Renfield, from what I'm seeing, is what's his name, Don?
Nicholas Hoult.
Nicholas Hoult. It's funny because a couple years ago, I don't know if you saw this. This is not a horror movie, but he was also in Mad Max Fury Road as Nux. And there's that famous line that he says, "I live, I die, I live again." Guess what? He did die in that movie. In this case, he's probably going to die in this movie. So guess what? His purpose did happen. He lived, he died, and he lived again.
Yep.
And this is not the first vampire movie for Nicolas Cage either.
Oh, no.
He was in A Vampire's Kiss, which was a ridiculously
bad one.
It was a ridiculously dumb movie, but every time it comes on, I have to watch it.
Oh my god!
It's a bad movie, but you gotta love Nicolas Cage and what he does, and especially this face with "You don't say."
Oh my god! But Nicholas Hoult, he lived, he died, he lives again as Dracula's assistant. So was awaited in Valhalla.
Yeah, riding to Valhalla.
Yeah, by the time when he became Redfield, he was just like, "Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!"
Witness me, bloodbag. Witness.
Yeah, I definitely plan on seeing that. There's a few movies I haven't seen yet. I still haven't even seen Cocaine Bear yet.
We just watched Cocaine Bear.
We just saw it. We are so doing an episode. Hey, Tom, as soon as you see that movie, we're doing an episode on it.
Cool. I got to see Ray Liotta's last movie,
Ray Liotta's last film. It was a good one for him to go out on. I mean, I'm saddened by his death, but hey, he has given us so much that everything he has given us will live on forever.
Yep.
I love his younger stuff, man.
Yeah,
He
Goodfellas.
does.
Oh yeah.
Rest in peace from.
Mhm.
Something wild,
Right.
like back in the day. Yeah, I can go on.
Tom, I got to show you something in the green room right after we're done with this. I don't want to show now, but you got to see.
Hey, look,
this.
I didn't bring my microscope. Oh wait, you're talking about something. All right, never mind.
It's just a really funny picture, I promise you. It was actually involving something with Santiago in it.
Ah,
right,
well,
well-
all right. Well, then I really didn't bring my microscope.
Oh my god. Okay, well, we're gonna end this here. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tune in for Friday 13th Part 2 next week. And Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to
No
having
problem.
you on next week. Okay.
Thanks for everyone coming on earlier.
Yes. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.